Harden had to waive his no-trade clause. James Sharani of ESPN on why the Beard did just that.
James Harden wants to be in a win-now situation. He made that clear to the Clippers, and also somewhere where he has a longer-term future. Next season and beyond was not promised for him in LA. He viewed Cleveland as fitting both of those criteria as far as a win-now championship potential chance, as well as a longer-term future there.
In a world of perfect timing, Cavs continue the road trip tonight in LA against the Clippers. Neither Harden nor Garland were expected to play anyway. Garland still has the toe injury. Harden was out for personal reasons. Browns officially introduced Todd Monken as the new head coach on Tuesday. Monken saying he's excited about Shedeur Sanders, but the starting quarterback job is still to be determined. Monken added he will be the guy calling the offensive plays in 2026. Pro Bowl games, flag football's heard right here on 92.3 The Fan. The NFC beat the AFC 66-52. Shedeur Sanders of the Browns got the start for the AFC. 2 touchdowns and 2 interceptions. On the ice, Cleveland Monsters beat Toronto in a shootout 3-2. The Monsters, a season-high 6-game winning streak. You can now find 92.3 The Fan on YouTube. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. Get the best content from our shows each and every weekday. That's 92.3 The Fan on YouTube. Headline sports news every 20 minutes right here on 92.3 The Fan. From the University Hospital Sports Desk, I'm Jeff Thomas. Up next time for the Ken Carman Show with Anthony Lima here on 92.3 The Fan.
The afternoon drive.
Am I excited about Shedeur? Am I excited about all the quarterbacks in the room? Am I excited to coach this football team? Absolutely.
What's interesting to me about this, the whole Monken discussion in general, is that in a weird way, I'm not saying he's getting a Peterlin pass, but I think he will eventually get some sort of pass from a lot of the fans. If you fast forward 1 year from now and Shedeur did get to start all these games and it didn't look particularly good, no one is suggesting that Monken is going to turn water into wine, so to speak. Like, you're going to, if he makes Shedeur into what Shedeur was projected to be and everything else, then great. And I still think Shedeur's got a lot of talent. But if he doesn't, because there's so many bad pieces, there's so many everything, people are going to look at Monken and say, whoa. You weren't able to do anything with Shedeur? You must be an idiot. No one's going to say that.
The afternoon drive. Weekdays starting at 2. We are Sports Radio 92.3 The Fan. The Ken Carman Show with Anthony Lima.
Breaking Cavaliers news, and it's a blockbuster. She broke the story before all the national reporters did, and it was rumored to be happening, but she was first to report that, in fact, it was a done deal, and that is the Cavaliers have acquired 11-time NBA All-Star James Harden, who is up there. He is 36 years old, from the LA Clippers for Darius Garland and a second-round pick.
I think everyone was a little shocked by this. It wasn't something that was on our radar. James Harden, Darius Garland kind of came out of nowhere. So for this to have gotten done as quick as it did, I'm a little surprised. But I got the news about 7 o'clock tonight that Darius and his camp received the news that he was being traded for James Harden. I was told that he felt disappointed that the team didn't give him a little bit more time to work this out, and that he's just really upset. He's going to miss Cleveland, and that he didn't necessarily see this coming either.
This is Cleveland Sports Radio 92.3 The Fan.
Nothing is done without Donovan's approval. That must be understood, or the rest of this whole experience will not make sense. You will be told differently. I guarantee you that. You will be told differently. There will be media availability. He will be asked. He will deny. You know better. You know this franchise. You know what they've done for their number one star in the past. You know they're willing to do it for him. None of this is done without Donovan's approval. So if they move on from Jared Allen or even Evan Mobley over these next how many hours, none of it is done without Donovan Mitchell saying yes. Let's get it out of the way now, because a lot of people hate this move.
You don't think people knew that?
No, I don't.
Really?
A lot of people hate this move.
Thought that they went rogue and didn't listen to their superstar who they're desperate to try to keep?
I'm telling you, judging by my mentions yesterday, a lot of people believe that Kobe Altman just decided to freak out, or Dan decided to freak out, and that was it. And we got to say it right now. If you want anybody to blame, quote unquote, for all this going down, I'm sorry, he is the second greatest Cavalier to ever wear the uniform. And I'm not trying to I think it's a necessary move. I really do. I begrudgingly said yes to this yesterday morning, that I wanted to do it. I didn't celebrate the fact. I didn't demean anybody. I didn't get vulgar and obnoxious the way I usually do when it comes to these type of arguments. I did not do that. You know that. But we need to understand, if this thing goes straight to hell, you need to know who to point the finger at. Let's just call it what it is. Let's have our responsibility now. Good morning.
There definitely was a level of freak out. I don't want people to kind of be confused about where the Cavs were. They never wanted to trade Darius Garland. Sure, does his name come up? Yeah, it's the NBA. There's only so many players in this league. There's so many good players in this league. And basically everybody has had their name bandied about in trade speculation, over the years, maybe with the exception of Jokic. And even then, I'm sure teams have at least said, hey, would you be interested? Like, that's the NBA. That's the world we live in. So you're never going to feel bad about that. But they never wanted to move on from the core four, or as we've got people tweeting, RIP the sore four, which was always, unfortunately, the way that when you flame out in the playoffs every year, that people, when you got injuries, people are going to refer to them as. So I don't think they ever wanted to trade Darius. Darius was an awesome guy to have on your team. There was not a ton of drama. Maybe you'd say last year in the playoffs, but that wasn't his fault. That was him trying to battle through an injury that clearly sucked to deal with. And how many more former athletes do we need to tell you about turf toe and what a big deal that is? The issue, and I think this is where the Cavs sprung into action, this is the second toe. One on two different feet.
Guys,
you couldn't even say it was just my left foot anymore. This is two of them.
The next injury, he's going to be running around like the kid at the beginning of Forrest Gump. Like, this is a necessary. I know a lot of people. It's crazy because I got to tell you, what a mood swing, because it seemed like I was fighting the world over the last 3 years about the necessary needs of Darius Garland and how this team was not better without Darius Garland. Like, so, well, it's like you could trade him, or you could put Ty Jerome out there and they're just better without Darius Garland. Or it's like, no, James Harden is a fine player, and you make this decision for the now. I'm sorry. I know that you know that. I just think it needs to be specified. There's going to be a lot of people when I say that who go, yeah, no kidding, Ken. I know that. But we all need to understand that there's going to be a lot of people who play dumb here over the next 24 hours as fans, as media, because he's going to be asked, and he ain't going to say anything like that. There's no way an NBA superstar is going to go, yeah, I wanted his ass traded. I want him out of here. They're not going to do that. But I just want to make sure nobody's being stupid with each other if this doesn't get to where it needs to go. Because there's been some really seriously silly-ass arguments over the last 24 hours over this possible trade. I'm sorry. Even on this station, I'm going, I can't believe what I'm hearing here. This doesn't make sense. Like, if you don't like James Harden, I don't trust James Harden.
James Harden.
I don't trust him. Well, I just know that this was a necessary move that they needed to make.
The name, and when it was coming up yesterday, and we were talking about it, and I couldn't believe how far along it seemed like the rumors had progressed. I'm not going to sit here and lie to you. I mean, James Harden's one of the guys that I have enjoyed the least watching in the NBA. I'll say when I've seen him in person, he's actually been a lot of fun. But on TV, the never-ending trips to the free throw line, the baiting of trying to get what Jared Allen would call unethical hoops, like he was at the epitome of that. It was basically just a three-pointer or a foul bait every single time. His passing is unbelievable. Like, he is going to go down in certainly modern history as one of the better passers in the NBA. So that is fun to watch. And I think guys like, if he's here, Jared Allen, but certainly Evan Mobley are going to be the beneficiary of that in a big way. Because, like, Darius was really good. Being able to throw those lobs to Evan, this is another stratosphere of that. He has mastered that. I mean, he's had guys, he's brought along big men just because of that ability. He's made guys a lot of money doing that. And at this point, I think it's like the Cavs' recognition of where Evan Mobley is and his role. And you're not going to be just giving the ball to Evan and clearing out like we did the first 2 months of the year. That's over. They kind of know what his limitations are this year. And I actually think that James Harden's someone who can get the most of them. But I'm not going to lie. Like, James Harden, when that was the name that came up, I'm like, can't get Trey Murphy, can't get Michael Porter Jr. We can't look in. And I will tell you that them being so aggressive with this deal tells me those names were never happening.
Yep.
For Darius Garland in a market where we saw it with Trae Young, the small guard that can't play defense has very little value. The small guard that plays little defense that has not one but two injured toes that are kind of important for the small guard to be able to get around on a basketball floor. Guys, his value had cratered, and the Cavs are up against it. There is a clock that is ticking on Donovan Mitchell. There was also a clock ticking. People don't realize
they wanted
this.
to pick back with Harden. They gave a pick up.
I know. That shows you. That shows you.
I don't know
all
if you
need to
just
know.
said that. I was just reading to make sure. I'm sorry.
No, it's a great thing. It's a great thing to bring up. There were reports yesterday.
They wanted to pick back.
The Cavs were like, no, we need more for our young two-time All-Star, and they ended up having to give away more because that shows you where the value was of Darius. And I said about the clock ticking for Donovan Mitchell, the clock was also ticking on Darius Garland. He was in line to sign a massive, almost $60 million deal. And the Cavs were not going to do that. And what was life going to be like, especially if they lost early in the playoffs again? What was life going to be like in the locker room and in that building when Darius Garland doesn't get that extension? Just telling you, it's probably was not going to be pretty. So they knew that. They had all that information. They deal with his agent. Who's his agent? Happens to be someone pretty famous and from Northeast Ohio. Rich Paul. They've been in contact with him. His name had come up. Remember, Jason Lloyd, was it 2 years ago? Had a story about, a potential move that would separate Donovan and Darius. And here we are 2 years later, and it finally goes down.
216-474-0092. If you hate it, if you hate it or love it, I want to hear you out. I'm not going to shout down anybody who hates it, because James Harden comes with a lot of baggage, and there were several people who said to me, and there's a lot of stuff that's like, yeah, no kidding. But there was a lot of people who said to me yesterday, it's like, Kenny, it ends poorly with everywhere he goes. I go, yeah, it'll end poorly here no matter what. Even if they win a championship, we've done this before. Thank God the Cavs have won a championship. It ended as ugly as almost anything can end. Yeah, I remember exactly where I was when Kyrie demanded the trade. This ended very ugly. It will end ugly. So you're trying to make a chase. And I got to tell you, I have strong reservations. How are they going to be able to mix this together and go after a title through the rest of this year? When people say the best trades are made, I was listening to, was it Scalabrini yesterday? It might have been Eddie Johnson. And, the best trades are made in the summertime because you give yourself a year runway to work out some of the problems. Now, Kenny Atkinson, guys, they're playing their best basketball of the year. They're 8-2 over their last 10. I think for Kenny, yeah, this is a great player, but you just got through, it seems, some of the problems that you had in terms of your lineups, in terms of how you're running. Defensively, there's a lot of things that it seems, and now it's like, my God, I got to throw a lot of that out the window and start fresh again. So, yeah, there's going to be some James Harden nights here where they're going to look like they're playing 5 different games of basketball while they're out there trying to figure out what to do. And that puts a lot of pressure through the month of February through April to get yourself ready for the postseason. But this is where they're at. And I think you're right. Had he been healthy, they think differently about this. But with the shoes and the special shoes and the built-in lifts and God knows what, I have no idea. I mean, I'm not trying to make a joke or anything. It's like, guys, we I kept hearing, well, he's 26. You're giving up on your future. I go, does he have that much of a future with us chasing a championship? Honestly, now he may end up being. Some people bring up Ron Harper to you. He might end up being Ron Harper.
If that happens,
Ron Harper was traded for completely different reasons, not injuries.
If he ends up,
which were unfounded, by the way, unfounded.
If he ends up finding his health, and down the road, Darius Garland is going to more All-Star games, especially in the tougher Western Conference. Yeah, I mean, egg on the face. But this is the gamble that they took. This is the gamble that not only had Darius been an issue with the health, even when he was healthy, he kind of had some limitations in the playoffs because his game did not necessarily translate when the game gets more physical. It's stuff we've talked about for years. And unfortunately, the last 2 years, perfect storm of injuries as well, really bogging him down. And so I don't know. Me personally, I'm probably like the Cavs. I'd probably bet against that we'll ever see the ceiling that we thought we would see, unfortunately, with Darius Garland.
Sometimes, do you ever just this is now not the appropriate time. I just got to say this right off the top of my head. I mean, if you're not going to be a fan of the Lakers or the Celtics, you're wasting your time being a fan of any other team but the Cleveland Cavaliers. Shaquille O'Neal, Dwayne Wade, James Harden have all played for this franchise. Derrick Rose. I mean, they who's who of players before.
Boy, it's true.
And sometimes it's the ghost of those players, and you might be getting the ghost of James Harden. They've all played for this franchise. That's unbelievable when you really break it down. Like, if you're a fan of a lot of other teams, like, you're never going to see these guys ever in your uniform. And it's like, nope, James Harden's going to play for the Cleveland Cavaliers. I never thought I would ever see the day, and I never thought I'd sign off on it. But desperate times call for desperate measures. Mike Miller, who looked like he was going to sell me cigarettes and weed outside of a convenience store.
Andrew
Bogut. Andrew Bynum.
Oh, my God, you're right.
216-474-0092. So, honestly, I think that a lot of people, Anthony, like, I'm not going to scream at people.
Wait,
maybe they want me to.
I had another name.
What?
Darren Williams. Remember that?
My
and
gosh.
Derek Williams.
And Derek Williams, yes.
Zagana Job. Okay. This is not a popular move. But I think, guys, I think we know in our heart of hearts, the clock is sped up. I think they believe that Donovan may not come back here or may want to trade after this summer. And I think that they made this move with the blessing of Donovan, knowing that they got to put this thing into high gear. And it sucks because you see guys, when you draft guys, you treat them as if they're your children. And you've watched this team go from 19 wins to having sincere championship aspirations. And so, yeah, you're hopeful of that. You love that. You miss that. But this is the NBA. This is this team. And this is this franchise, and this is what they and there is a bad side to this. I understand that, but I think this is what they had to do. And I as a observer, as a fan, I supported it yesterday. But you can tell I'm not doing Super Bowl, Super Browns, or flipping switches or anything like that. Like there's definitely a cost to this. So you hope that it pays off. But I am in support of the trade. 216-474-0092. You were not in support of the trade yesterday.
Yesterday, I was not in support of the trade at the time. Was certainly hoping there were some other names going to be in the mix. I can tell you that after that trade, I look to the Eastern Conference odds right now. The Cavaliers are now the favorite to come out of the Eastern Conference by the betting sites.
216-474-0092. Do you like the trade? Do you hate the trade? A lot of people hate the trade. I'll let you guys sound off when we come back. Ken Carman, Anthony Lima, James Harden, a Cleveland Cavalier. Right now, Jeff with the update.
Now reports that
James Harden wants to be in a win-now situation. He made that clear to the Clippers, and also somewhere where he has a longer-term future. Next season and beyond was not promised for him in LA. He viewed Cleveland as fitting both of those criteria as far as a win-now championship potential chance, as well as a longer-term future there.
Audio courtesy of ESPN. John Fana, he texted me last night.
I got a text from Fana.
He's got a takes that he wants to get off his chest. I'm like, well, were you just on this afternoon? He goes, doesn't matter. I go, okay.
Wait, he has time. Doesn't he have a Seton Hall game to do?
That's what John is the NBA on NBC, friend.
Providence, isn't he getting to know their backups?
John Sterling started at like Morgan State. I don't want to hear it. Okay?
I'm not.
You work your way up.
I'm saying I don't know how he has time to do all this Cleveland stuff.
Listen, when you have a newborn child and you're staying up and just looking at TV all day, you got plenty of time to get things off your chest, as we all know. 216-474-0092. So, I mean, you can hear it in my voice, and maybe it's not. Maybe I need to be more polarizing about it and say that you people are idiots who don't want to take James Harden in this trade. I don't feel that way. I think that there is a relationship. A very strong relationship. I mean, I'm seeing a lot of younger Cavs fans tweeting at me last night like they are very sad about Darius Garland. And hey, I felt that. I remember when I was a kid, I felt that way about Andre Miller. And that team wasn't going anywhere after they traded Andre Miller. Like, it wasn't happening. But you have guys that you're fans of. And the team drafted this guy. He's been a very fine player for this team when healthy. He's not very healthy. And in the end, like, I could sit here and go, well, it's going to free up cap space and it's going to get him out of the second apron if James Harden wants out. This is a move to win a championship, and it's a move to placate Donovan Mitchell. And now we may find out over time if Donovan's worth it. It puts more pressure on Donovan Mitchell because I think we all know, or we should all know, that this is a Donovan Mitchell move. He'll deny it today, but it's a Donovan Mitchell move. And it's a move to make him happy. It's a move to try to win a championship right now. And I also think that it's a very uncomfortable thing for a lot of folks to go from this building that they've done for years, it seems, and it doesn't seem, it's been that way, this building that they've done for years to now it's like, hey, you got to put up or shut up. Now the heat is really on. It's, we'll be understanding. And there's times where we've been frustrated. No, the gloves are really off with this franchise now. They've moved on from one of the core four, one of the guys that fans said were movable at times, but the franchise was saying was never movable. We're hearing about Jared Allen. We're hearing about Giannis Antetokounmpo. There's definitely other moves that they could make here in the next 24 hours. That's why you got to keep it here. But, man, this is going to be a lot of pressure now. This is going to be a lot of pressure. And some people don't like that pressure. And I've heard a lot of crazy thoughts, and we'll play one of them coming up here a little bit later on. But I think a lot of people are very, very upset because they don't trust James Harden. And nor should you trust James Harden. This is the equivalent of a payday loan for me. Sometimes you got to do what you got to do to get by. And that's what the Cavs are doing. They're doing what they got to do to get by. They're bringing in a guy who has a big reputation for as a good basketball player. Still third team All-NBA last year. But he also comes with a lot of baggage. There's high interest on that trade. So, but I'm a supporter. It seems that you have, I'm going to accuse you of flip-flopping here, but it seems that you've come around.
You can absolutely accuse me of it because yesterday I said I was like, I wouldn't do this. I said yesterday he's better than Darius. Like, I don't know how anybody could argue otherwise. I don't know if just people have ingrained in their minds the playoff Game 7 flops that James Harden's been a part of. They are historical. They are mind-numbing. They are something that's been very confusing for somebody as talented as he is. You got to remember, this is a 3-time scoring champ that in some of the biggest games of his life has been literally unable to hit a shot. It's been crazy. Steph Curry's been the beneficiary of that. In one game in particular that comes off the top of my head. So I said all those things yesterday, but he's better than Darius. And he's had, this is where you gotta swat, take a big gasp. He's had much bigger playoff games than Darius Garland. It's just Darius has not been on that stage. He's never been considered one of the elite players in the league, so he's not held under the same scrutiny that James Harden is. But it's kind of funny how we talk about these things because James Harden has absolutely been a big reason his teams have gotten to those big moments to where he's then choked in those big moments. Darius has never been remotely good enough to even get to those moments.
No.
So nobody even realizes how bad he's been in the playoffs because no one's cared. Charles Barkley hasn't gotten up there after Darius's biggest games and been like, can't trust him. Choke artist. Can't put the ball in his hands. Not big enough. Not physical enough. Can't play at this level. Like, he's never done that because he's never even got to that point. He's not even on the radar. But James Harden is, because James Harden has been one of the greats, and he's gotten to that point.
Does this move, let me ask you this. Now, the Celtics are good. Does this move make you think twice if you're the Celtics about Jalen Tyson forcing him to come back? Like, do you think or Jason Tatum, I'm sorry. Good God. Did I say Jason Tatum?
I know you meant.
I'm sorry. I got draft on the brain. I apologize.
His brother's a good one.
Jordan Tyson, Jalen Tyson, Ken Carman. Good night, everybody. Does this make the Celtics maybe think a little bit deeper about Jason Tatum coming back so soon?
I found it very interesting.
Because it's like, well, if they go, like, does it make you...
And they made a trade yesterday. They made a trade for a big.
Yes, it makes you the favorite to come out of the East. And it's like, are we willing to maybe stunt the return for this? Maybe they are. Maybe they are. Maybe that's not even a thought, and that's a silly thought. I'm just asking questions here off the top of my head to you. That's all.
Yeah, I don't know what is going on over there because it seemed like he was ramping up. He's getting closer. We're talking about Jason Tatum here, which was, I warned everybody, like, I think that could change the balance of power. They are really good right now. The Celtics are playing really good team basketball. I think they won again last night. Did they end up beating Dallas? I fell asleep. Sorry, it was a big night in hoops. I know I talked down to everybody yesterday. I did fall asleep late in that game.
I stayed up until the beginning of the fourth quarter.
Okay.
For the NFL Pro Bowl flag football game. Yeah, go ahead.
So we're kind of all waiting to see what happens because there's a trade deadline. People wondered who's going to get in the Giannis sweepstakes. Are the Cavs done? That's the other thing. Like, we still have time before this deadline. I don't think we're getting Giannis.
I don't think they're done. But it's everybody who's anybody says that they may wait. But was it true that he came out of the game yesterday? Like, he left the bench yesterday, Giannis did? For the Bucks?
Yeah, I mean, he's not gonna
was
play.
That a real thing?
I don't know if he's going to play another game for Milwaukee ever.
What?
Yeah, I don't know.
Well, no, after the trade deadline, if he doesn't get traded, wouldn't he come back and play?
Not on that team. What's the point?
You're the franchise player. That's the point.
What's that? By the way, Jimmy Haslam was asked yesterday at, I think there was a breakaway.
Said he was going to do what was best for the Bucks and best for him, meaning that they're working on it. He found it. Boy, he learned that NBA parlance very quickly.
But that
he's
was
a football
surreal.
guy, but that was an NBA parlance answer right there.
That was surreal that we're sitting there, Todd Monken press conference, and obviously all this news goes down yesterday. And yes, we will get to the Pro Bowl because I've seen some clips, Kenny. Thank you very much. But then just to see our owner being asked about one of the most famous athletes in the world, it had nothing to do with the Browns.
Yeah, it was. It is a bit bizarre. It's even more bizarre that the Bucks have this weird board of governors things where they rotate the power of the franchise. And you're talking about trying to find the best deal for Giannis Antetokounmpo there. I'm more than willing to wheel and deal. If it takes Myles Garrett, then it takes Myles Garrett. Maybe they're going to be thought partners together on a trade for Giannis Antetokounmpo there with Dan Gilbert and with Mike Gansey and Kobe Altman there. But there's a lot of things that could possibly happen. I am for this trade, but as you can hear it, I'm not pounding the table for this trade. There is definitely a backside to this, and it will end, and it will end ugly. But most things end, and when they end ugly in the NBA. I'm used to it. You're used to it. There's nothing to be afraid of, guys. There's absolutely nothing to be afraid of here. If Darius Garland goes on and plays extremely well, fine. Congratulations on all his success. We'll talk about it. Maybe he does end up being our generation's Ron Harper. But this was a necessary move by a team that feels that they are not going to, or their superstar is going to get very upset if they don't maximize the window they have. James Harden maximizes that window. 216-474-0092. We'll try to get to some of you guys. And people didn't make a big deal about what Todd Monken said about this guy because they don't want to make a big deal about what he said about this guy. And they'd much rather argue about another one. Who are these guys? I'll tell you in 5 on the Fan.
It's Anthony Lyon.
Hurt in a car? Call KNR.
Hear all of the latest Cavs and NBA trade news right here, ahead of the NBA trade deadline, Thursday at 3 p.m. We are Sports Radio 92.3 The Fan.
John effing Fana going to join us at 8 o'clock. NBA on NBC. The NBA on NBC. He'll join us coming up at 8 o'clock this morning. 216-474-0092. He says he's got things he's got to get off his chest. I want to get back to the Cavs coming up here in moments. We do got some calls here. This happened yesterday, though. Boy, it's amazing. I think that it's a weird day when the Browns take a back seat to everybody else in town. They hired a head coach, and it's like, yeah, we'll get to that when we get to that. It's like, whoa. He had his introductory press conference. Yeah, we got James Harden here. But we got to talk about that first. But he was asked, he did have his introductory press conference. Before we get to some of this audio here, because I want to make sure we get exactly what you want here. What did you think of the cussing? What did you think of the sentiment? Because I hate it. Like, he won the press conference. So, like, yeah, there's been plenty of guys who've won a press conference and went out and lost a lot of football games.
Yeah, I saw Adam Schein talking about Matt LaFleur's press conference. The Cardinals, it goes, knocked it out of the park. And I just, obviously, I'm the wrong person to ask about press conferences because I've been rolling my eyes at press conferences for years just because I had to cover them when I was basically covering, Jim Boeheim in Syracuse, and I would see the same thing over there. Oh, this guy won this press conference, this guy. And I got here in Cleveland, and I'm like, you guys just really think every new coach just wins the press conference? Well, it turns out they do. They do win the press conference because it's a fresh voice. You don't have to hear the old guy anymore. And let's be honest, when it came to Kevin Stefanski, it had gotten so stale. The press conferences.
Well, he's just trying to make it through without saying anything.
Why are we even having them?
Yeah, it became very Pat Shurmur.
Like, this is wasting everybody's time.
Yeah, it became Shurmur.
And I liked Kevin Stefanski as a person.
Yeah,
me too. I learned more from talking to him for 5 minutes before we went on the air than anything we would do on the air.
I'll let you guys know, there's a lot of high school football coaches who listen to this show on their way in, clearly, and they let us know. There's also a lot of their assistants. Listen to that press conference. It's not the quantity of how many times you cuss. It's the quality.
I like that, yes.
Just throwing in F-bombs whenever you want or other words. I thought Greg was a good cusser. But I think there's guys that they try too hard and they just use cuss words as commas. And I don't think that that's right, and I think you lose that over time. I think there was a lot of time. I think he did it for effect. I think he did well. I think that this is a guy who, I mean, there was one phrase that got away from him that he kind of laughed off for a moment. But when it came to the cussing, I think it's like, whoa, I'm going to pay attention. You don't really get this in the press conference. But there was a couple of things that he mentioned that were very interesting. He was asked about the whole Ravens thing when it came to Shedeur. And I think people ignored all this because they want to ignore all this. Because here's the first thing he said about the Ravens' interest in Shedeur Sanders when he was in Baltimore last year.
I think it'd be unfair for me to comment on another organization's process. I think that would just be unfair for me to go in depth of where we were at in the draft. Obviously, we had an affection, like a lot of teams, of Shedeur's skill set and what we thought he could become. But I really wouldn't want to go in depth of another team's process.
As animated as he was at times, there was also the afternoon show called it Muted Munkin, where he was a little bit quiet when it came to Shedeur. However, he was a little more forthcoming about somebody else. Here's some audio courtesy of Cleveland 19.
That still have a long way to go in terms of development, and that's part of the learning curve in the NFL. And then you've got a player like Deshaun, who's coming back from injury and at one time was a Pro Bowl player and an elite player in this league, that we would love to tap back into that, let alone with Dylan and Shedeur.
But again, audio courtesy of Cleveland 19, and Lima goes, I can't believe they didn't make a big deal about that even before the James Harden trade. Like, that's a big deal. He's talking about Deshaun Watson. I go, well, one, we did bring it up last week when he got hired because I told you about the text, but there was also like, people didn't make a big deal of it because they don't want to make a big deal about it. I think that showed you right there yesterday, and I know there's a lot of distraction going on, and maybe I'll end up being wrong in the long run. I think people would much rather argue, even with the bots and with the AI video people and all that stuff, I think they'd much rather argue about Shedeur Sanders than anything having to do with Deshaun Watson. I think it's proof positive right there. I mean, you got a $46 million elephant in the room that nobody wants to look at. And I'd much rather argue about, I got people arguing with me about shorts and T-shirt flag football interceptions over the other guy right now. That's where your fan base is at, Tone. They don't want to hear about that other guy. And I think
totally
that we need to be, as you and I, we can talk about what's best for football, but I think we also need to be cognizant over the next several months over what's best also for the fan base.
Think about it. This is the first time in years, can I say that? Years, that somebody affiliated with the Browns, who now happens to be their head coach, has used the term elite with Deshaun Watson. I have not heard Kevin Stefanski say anything remotely like that. I haven't heard Andrew Berry say anything. They've been taking the signs. I think they finally took the final signage down at the stadium. There are no more reminders of Deshaun Watson until your new head coach came in yesterday and talked about tapping in to an elite football player. When he was talking about Shedeur, he just said development. Development. He needs development. And yes, Shedeur needs development, just like any fifth-round pick, any first-round pick would need development. But that one, I'm filing that away. The way he talked and even reminded Browns fans that they had a quarterback that once was elite, and they want to tap into it.
And I'll tell you this, it also shows you that he's not stupid and he knows that you don't have much time. You got to go.
Yep.
And so he will do everything he can to get any sort of talent that he thinks is going to help this football team out of that room. Because as of right now, we could talk about Malik Willis for the next several months until we're blue in the face. We could talk about him and Mac Jones and God knows who else. As of right now, your quarterback room is your quarterback room. And he was kind of quiet about Shedeur. He didn't really mention Dylan Gabriel much at all.
Dylan Gabriel.
But there was a lot there about Deshaun Watson where it's like, you better file that away. Because he's a football coach. He's going to do what he thinks is going to be best for the football team and winning football games. Now, we may all have problems with that. I think that fans would rather just argue about Shedeur Sanders and all the other things because I think that's way more fun than anything we've had to talk about with Deshaun Watson over the last several years. But I think that shows you the grip he has on reality of this business. 37 years in coaching is the number that was thrown out there. He's seen it all. And that means he knows that you get fired for not winning football games. You don't get fired for just being a good guy, and that's it. So he's got to do what he can because there's no given. He was here for 1 year in 2019. It was a one and done, and he's been very candid about that. He knows that, you don't win enough football games. Somebody else could be given their introductory press conference next year, and your career's over. And he waited a long time. He didn't get emotional over the money he is about to make in that press conference yesterday. He got emotional because he's finally a head coach. And even though that, I've not been a Deshaun Watson fan for these 4 years.
How could you be?
I haven't been. But he don't give a damn about what some fat guy says on the radio, and he don't give a damn about what somebody may say in the 537. He's going to do what's right. So if I'm here kicking and screaming about Shedeur and stomping my feet, he's going to do what he thinks is right by his football team.
It's just.
So I think we need to be prepared for that.
I know it's just a few words in a press conference, but that is the first time that I had to actually step back and think, man, if there's some kind of a competition and Watson is, he's never going to be athletically what he was, but if he's healthy and he can move around, cut, and throw, is Shedeur going to beat him in a competition? If there's an honest competition? And I know you said no competitions are truly honest, but are we positive Shedeur is gonna beat that?
One guy was number 12 overall, was an MVP candidate at one point.
And Todd Monken, you could tell,
unrealistic.
He was accessing that in his mind yesterday. He's like, I've seen Deshaun Watson play like a top quarterback in this league. So if there is anything close to that demonstrated on a football field, holy cow, I think a lot of us might have missed the boat on this completely.
I want Shedeur to be given the pole position to be the number one quarterback going into the camp. What I want and what I have to maybe accept are clearly two different things. What may end up being better for the franchise may be two different things. Because I've told you what I think as a fan and a radio show host, being a fan. If I'm Kenny Carman, the coach, the football guy, and I see one guy starting to look like he used to 5 years ago, which I still would have to wonder, is this just fools thinking here, trying to hope for something that isn't? But I see one guy starting to look like he did 5 years ago, and the other guy is still, we're making arguments based on God knows what to give him that chance. I know it's my job to win football games, and I might have to put number 4 back in. and maybe even start the season with him. Uncomfortable, but true. 216-474-0092. Less than 1 hour away from about last night. John Fanta going to join us at 8:01. And I understand you're mad. There's no way you mean this sentence, though. Ken Carman, Anthony Lima, take us with you to work on that free Odyssey app. Peter and
on the Odyssey app. Headline sports news every 20 minutes right here on 92.3 The Fan. From the University Hospital Sports Desk, I'm Jeff Thomas.
If you need to make a beer run this weekend, relax. You won't miss a moment of the action. We are the radio home of the Super Bowl. We are Sports Radio 92.3 The Fan.
All right, Browns aren't going anywhere. We'll bring them up coming up in a bit. People said they were done with the Cavs after this.
Yeah, I've had people. This morning I've had multiple people tell me they are not going to watch the James Harden experience.
Stop.
Despite the fact, again, Easter Conference.
Come on.
Easter Conference odds are out. I know you're mad. Let's not lie to ourselves. And the Cavs are up top.
I know you're mad. Let's not lie to ourselves. Come on, guys. This is not a popular trade. I think that I'm an emotional person. I think a lot of people wanted me to line up and hammer the idea of this. I'm not. I understand what this all means. Again, you are at the behest of your superstar player. Your superstar player is Donovan Mitchell. I go into this fully knowing that none of this happens without Donovan Mitchell wanting it, without his consent. And so I'm going to accept that because this is the best chance you're going to have to win a championship, to cash in. I don't know, guys. I don't know if Donovan or Darius Garland was going to even be healthy enough to start the postseason. And God forbid something may happen to James Harden and we may be stuck anyway. But that's the dice you're willing to roll. That's just going to be the way it is. And we could say, well, we're giving up on the future. Guys, you know this better than anybody. This stuff don't last long. This stuff does not last long. These windows, we're not going to have 20-year open windows. We'd like to keep it open as long as possible. We have to see what's right in front of us here. Like some of the stuff, I know that we had the video of Jonathan and Nick yesterday. It's like, what do you mean about being swept in the finals? It's the finals. It's the finals. This is what you do. Because if you're Kobe Altman and you're Mike Gansey, these things, again, don't last a long time. And so at the end of it, you can look at it and you could smoke a cigar and drink your drink and go, you know what? I did exactly what was best for the franchise. I can sleep because I knew I did what was best for the franchise. That's what I did. I did the move that was going to be what was best for him. And if Darius Garland goes out and becomes a Hall of Famer after all this, we can discuss it till kingdom come because they might end up being wrong about that. But as of right now, while it's an unpopular thing, I don't know if anybody can really seriously say that this is worse for the franchise. They're trying to win a title as soon as possible. You have major players that are out in the East. The runway is open for you. You had to strike. You had to do it. And they know that because, again, they started this yesterday morning with wanting a pick back from the LA Clippers. They ended up giving one up to the Clippers to get James Harden. They're telling you they don't know about Donovan's future. They don't know about the future of the quote-unquote core four, and they need to do what they can to maximize every chance they have right now, this instant, this season.
One of the big complaints I saw yesterday, and I always laugh about this when it comes to the NBA, because people get, they say beggars can't be choosers, but in the NBA, everybody wants the wings that are really athletic and long and can shoot threes and defend. It's like, yeah, teams don't give those up. Just like, hey, what do we want in the NFL? Left tackles. We want really good left tackles. All right, well, we need one. Who can we get one from? Nobody. No teams give up really good left tackles, right, Kenny?
Yeah.
Very, very rarely. Like
usually available for unless it's Trent Williams and he wants to sue his own team.
That was the one time.
Which, boy, that was one where Lima and I were totally wrong. Those were COVID shows, and we were both like, no, he's suing his own team. We don't know if he's going to be that healthy for the rest of his career.
And then what did he go on to do after that?
He's magnificent.
So all I'm saying is, like, it's really hard to get the exact type of player you want in the NBA. And so I saw yesterday, James Harden has proven that he can't win a title. Therefore, why would you trade for James Harden? And I'm like, okay, you're talking about the best players, right? And I went and looked. I took the Ringer's top 100 players. And I went through, and you could do this with any list of top 100 players. Of the guys that have been either the first or second best player on their team, I looked and I found like of the top 40 of those guys, there were only 13 of those that had currently won a title as the first or second best player on those team. Do you know how many of those guys are actually available? Giannis, Anthony Davis, LeBron James, hypothetically, maybe Kawhi. Right?
Yeah.
That's it. That's all you have to work with. So my question is, should no teams trade for anybody playoff time, because those are the only guys that exist that have actually won titles as the first or second best player? Does that mean nobody is worth trading for? That is my question, honestly. You could say about any guys that are getting picked up right now, well, they haven't won a title as the first or second best player. Why would I get that guy? No, that's not how the league works. You have to go and try to make your team better and hope that your guy could come in and get that team over the edge. But the reality is, there aren't a lot of guys that have won championships as the first or second best player that still play in the NBA. Very few guys win championships.
216-474-0092. God, I wish we disagreed with each other. It'd be so much more fun. Austin in Broadview Heights, you're next up on the Fan. Hello.
Hey, guys. How's it going?
Not terrible, Austin. Go ahead.
All right. So I don't hate this trade for the Cavs. I'm not, sold on it. I 100% get where Kobe Altman and the Cavs are coming from. I think Harden is a better player, in my opinion, than Garland, but obviously he's way older. I think Donovan Mitchell would agree with this trade. I think that it'll work out. I don't know if it – my thing is I don't know if it really moves the title chances enough to the point where I'm, convinced that this team within the next 1 to 2 years is going to be even in the finals. I think they could be, but to me, if you're moving this timeline – up for Donovan Mitchell, I think you have to do something with Mobley. I think the only person available that could make this team really competitive to me is Giannis. I think Giannis makes his team finals.
Well, when you say competitive, what do you mean competitive? Because, like I said, they're now the favorites in the Eastern Conference to come out of the East. Are you talking competitive to win the championship or to get to the championship?
To win the championship. I just think whoever they play in the West is going to win. I just think the West is too stacked. I think OKC is too good at the end of the day. I just can't see the Cavs getting past OKC, which is kind of an anomaly. OKC is just that dominant. But to me, I don't think James Harden really puts the Cavs over the edge versus what Darius Garland offers, even though he is actually available to play, unlike Darius. But
so I want to play some. Austin, thank you very much for the call. I want to play something for you here because, I've often said dead is dead, but is there any really difference in degree of how disappointed you're going to be here? Because I'm not trying to rub Nick's nose into it, but I want to play this because I couldn't believe this argument yesterday, and I think I was just as bewildered as JP. Go ahead.
This is desperate thinking.
Now the East is open, and if all ends up with if it ends up with NBA Finals trips, I'm not going to be sad about it.
Yeah, you're going to love getting swept in the NBA Finals by OKC.
What's wrong with going to the NBA Finals?
Because you get swept.
You're not going to get swept, first off. But if you get swept in the NBA Finals, what's wrong with that?
Why are we the floor with you this year?
Hold on. Why are we so upset about going to the NBA Finals? Why is that a bad thing? If that's the outcome,
because you have no chance of winning.
You have no chance of winning now anyway.
Yes, but this doesn't give you a better chance.
You have no chance right now anyway.
Yes,
so
but this doesn't give you a better chance of winning.
Why am I turning my nose up to a 4-game sweep in the NBA Finals?
No, you're turning the nose up.
What's wrong with that?
No, I'm turning my nose up at getting one series better. Ooh, we got to the Eastern. Thank you, James, for getting us to the Eastern Conference Finals. We won 2 more games. No.
The East is open. You can attack the East here.
Yeah,
if the NBA Finals, if you make it to the NBA Finals and you get waxed by any of the teams in the West, okay, I'm going to live with that. I'm going to have a fun time going to the finals.
This championship window stuff is for the birds. And we just have to be honest, but we can't because we have to make believe that it's possible and that James Harden is the guy that's going to bring it all together.
It's about more than just James Harden, though. And I think that's the idea in this. It's not just about James Harden. There's more at play here than just James Harden.
We got to stop lying to ourselves here. I just got to say, Nick's got to stop lying to yourself. You know that there's a difference between losing to the Indiana Pacers in the second round. Even though the Pacers ended up going to the finals, you know there's a difference in losing in the second round and losing in the finals. There is a tremendous difference.
Maybe be playing basketball for another month and a half.
Losing sucks no matter what. But to have this roster that is the most expensive one in the NBA, you won't accept anything, but you could understand losing in the finals to Oklahoma City. It is completely unacceptable to lose in the first or second round. And if they lose in the first or second round with this team, with James Harden, It would be completely unacceptable. But to have the opportunity to go further, this is what they're doing. It's completely unacceptable. And again, it's completely unacceptable to Donovan Mitchell. That's why they made the move.
Okay, you can ask Nick how he feels. I'd like to ask Donovan Mitchell what it would be like playing on that stage, because he's never sniffed it.
I think Nick would laugh. I think Donovan would laugh in Nick's face.
I think Donovan would be like, "Where's my?
I'm sorry.
Where are the terms of my contract extension where I get to make $70+ million a year? Because now there's proof." I can actually win here. I can get to the finals. And just ask the Raptors in 2019, like, should they not have traded for Kawhi Leonard because they were massive underdogs in the finals to the Golden State Warriors? Oh, yeah, they won the championship. Exactly. I think that worked out. And they lost Kawhi Leonard, like, literally right after that. They lost him. How are the Toronto Raptors fans feeling about that? I'm sure there was a host there saying, why bother? Why make this move? What's going to happen in the NBA Finals? Look at how big of underdogs we are.
We knew this going in. Guys, they traded 3 first-round picks for Donovan Mitchell. They weren't here for a long time. They're here for a good time, damn it. And the times ain't been that great. Seriously, getting punked out by New York, having Mitchell Robinson make fun of you after that series. I mean, seriously.
Your own coach called you soft. This goes under the radar somehow. I mean, the real fans, the real ball knowers know, but like your head coach, Kenny Atkinson, sat up there along with Donovan Mitchell, and he was twisting his head into a pretzel trying to come up with what happened, and he came away with, yeah, I don't know, our guys just don't respond in the big moments. Like, our guys are soft, essentially. Your own coach said that.
We have to address that, and it was addressed, and part of it was addressed. I mean, there's still moves that can be made. But you knew that you felt it. You had to have felt it in your Cavs fans' bones that we were getting close to a situation. I can't say the usual term I want to say because I know that you've been making fun of me behind my back. We were getting close to a time where it was time to cut bait and move on and try to do something here. And it's going to end hopefully with a championship. And if it doesn't end with a championship, it's going to get real ugly. There's going to be liquidation. There's going to be guys who want out. There's going to be fighting. James Harden is not going to be a happy camper. I know all that going in. I know it all going in, and I still had to say yes because of what they've already done on the floor. What they've already done, Tone. I had to say yes. I go into this knowing wholeheartedly that James Harden will probably become a problem sooner than later. Donovan will probably be upset sooner than later. Who knows? I mean, Evan seems like the nicest guy in the history of the people, so I don't know if ever he's going to be upset about anything, but who knows? Maybe he will be. Jared Allen, another guy who seems to be too damn nice, but again, that's the whole argument we've had over the last 4 years.
I don't know who's going to be on this team.
He might end up getting traded. So these are the conversations we have to have here. And I'm willing to do it. I'm willing to. This is what you when you made that trade for Donovan, this is what you've built for. You didn't make the trade for Donovan to get to the Eastern Conference playoffs every year. You didn't to win play-in games and make it to the second round. You did it to maximize every possibility to win a championship. And this is going to be another move to try to win a championship. And Darius Garland, you guys know in your heart of hearts, this year and certainly into the near future, doesn't give you a better chance to win a championship than James Harden. One guy has been a disappointment in the postseason in big games. The other guy isn't even active for him. 216-474-0092. Ken Carman, Tone Master General. I want to hear from more of you. This is a life-changing trade for the Cleveland Cavaliers in their history. I want to get to more of you guys on this. And John Fana, 801 on the Fan. Friends, Ken Carman here for Northeast Factory.
each and every weekday. That's 92.3 The Fan on YouTube. Headline sports news every 20 minutes right here on 92.3 The Fan. From the University Hospital Sports Desk, I'm Jeff Thomas.
Back in the Fan. John Fana, 8 o'clock, 40 minutes away. 216-474-0092. I'm in favor of the trade. It's begrudging. I know I've gotten loud here over the last couple of moments here, a couple of segments. I've gotten loud about this. There is a giant backfall to this. Yes.
Well, I've asked that they do something and not continue to just run it back, right?
Yeah.
And while I'm not completely over the moon about James Harden, they did something.
Well,
they're at least trying to do something different.
Well, I don't want them to do something that just grabs attention, but you know what? You've been pretty adamant about that. No one's going to care if we go 82-0. Comment from Donovan Mitchell after last season. I mean, you've brought that up several times.
Right. And I got questioned on that yesterday on Twitter, and it's just I think people think that I'm saying that the Cavs are not taking the regular season seriously, and that's not the case at all. I'm not taking any of the results in the regular season seriously because I know they're going to make the playoffs. I don't know what spot they'll be in when they get there, but they're going to make the playoffs, and so that nothing that they do gameplay-wise, wins or losses, matter to me right now. I was not very happy about all of the losses earlier because it looked like they might fall out of the playoffs at one point, but they seem to have course corrected on that. But you know, that's what Donovan meant, and that's the way I take it, is that we'll see you in April once the playoffs start. May is where we really start to get into it, and hopefully they make it to June. This move, at least to me, gives them a chance to make it to June because Darius Garland I don't trust that he was going to be healthy for a playoff push anyway. Mm-hmm. And I don't like the addition by subtraction thing that people were going with on him. So at least it's true addition. They've truly added to the team instead of just going, well, he's not there, so the core is different, and now the players are playing differently.
I want to get to a couple of listeners' opinions here, but I kind of want to ask you this because you just made me think about this. With that commentary you've had over the last several months about Donovan Mitchell's conversations. And I said, I started the show with this. None of this happens. Nothing happens, guys. You guys are all mad. It seems a lot of people are mad about the James Harden trade. Not everybody, but a lot of people are. None of this happens without Donovan Mitchell. Now, you know that, but I don't think a lot of people may know that. Like, it's not like Kobe Altman just decided to go crazy and get desperate. Like, I think that definitely Donovan Mitchell, and I brought this up yesterday, has put it out there, or his people have put it out there, that if this is not changed very quickly, you are not going to like what I have to tell you coming up this summer. And so let me throw this out to you. Does this change the way that some people, before I get to some of these listeners' calls, does this change the way people view Donovan Mitchell? Because you don't like this trade, but they're doing this for Donovan Mitchell. We've all trusted Donovan Mitchell almost implicitly over, how long has he been here? 4 years now? 3 years? 4 years?
Yeah,
how long?
He's been here 3 years now.
3 years. He's been here 3 years. We have trusted him.
This is year 4.
Yes. Okay. He's in his 4th year. I thought so. So he's been here in year 4 now. We've trusted him almost 100%, as much as you could basically trust a Cleveland athlete that's not named Jose Ramirez. Right? Does this change your thoughts on him? Does this change your thoughts on the trust you have of him, or what you need out of him, what you demand out of him? Because now this is a championship move. Like, I disagree completely, respectfully, with what we played of Nick arguing with Jonathan. I totally disagree with Nick. However, if they lose anywhere other than the finals, even if they lose the finals, I think Nick will have that opinion. But if they lose anywhere that's not the finals, it's going to be like, so wait, you torpedoed this franchise for this to go to the same place? This is what you did? I mean, there's going to be a lot there, and we have to put blame right where it's at. Like, none of this is made without Donovan Mitchell wanting it, let alone approving it.
Well, the torpedoing thing is interesting because this is a little different from if you traded Darius a couple of years ago.
I understand
right?
that, but I think that's a lot of what's going to be said if it doesn't go their way this spring.
Well, and then Darius would have to be back to his old self for people to use the term torpedoed. Because if you traded him 2 years ago, you'd say, "Oh my God, you just traded somebody who's been an all-star who we were thinking 2 years ago, could he be all NBA at some point? What is he going to look like in the playoffs long term? He's got these great shooting splits, a 50, 40, 90 guy last year up until, really February, and then it cratered when they started calling games differently, and then, of course, he got slowed down come playoff time. But I think even the biggest Darius supporters today, they're mad about the trade. I get it. James Harden's one of the most hated players, tough guy to watch, even though we all understand how talented he is, and he's still very talented. But, even the biggest Darius fans, even they can admit, he's been a shell of himself since the injuries, and now it's a second foot, and now it's a second orthotics and weird contraption he has to wear. They're talking the type of steel plating that needs to be done in the other shoe now for him to be able to even play. Yeah. And by the way, not play at an elite level, just go out there and be some semblance of Darius. When you add those caveats to the whole conversation, can you say torpedoed? Can you say they're torpedoing, or are they just getting rid of, they're selling low on an asset that we don't know what level of likelihood is he ever going to get back to who he is?
Let me ask you this.
This is 2 straight years.
Let me ask you this then. What are the Clippers seeing out of this? What are the Clippers
a
getting out
lotto
of
ticket. I mean, honestly.
Really?
Honestly.
The guy doesn't want to be there anymore. Harden.
Harden, yeah.
And so this is, they're just taking it because.
Yeah.
When is he due for an extension, Darius?
Right now. At the minute the season ends.
There you go.
Right. They could sign him to a $60+ million a year for 3 years.
Oh, Cavs weren't going to do that.
No.
So they just see it as a lotto ticket, and that's it. And they'll
why not
liquidate the asset and move on, is what you're saying?
If you're the Clippers, you're not winning a championship this year. You're not even competing. Let's be honest. They've been one of the hotter teams. And then I watched them the other night play against Denver, and it's they're not on this level. They need Kawhi to be healthy.
You were watching old Shedeur
another
tape?
level. What's that?
You weren't watching old Shedeur tape?
No. I'm letting Munkin do that.
Can you even call yourself a radio show host in Cleveland?
I'm letting Todd Munkin do that, but apparently Todd's been watching more Deshaun Watson tape based on what we heard yesterday.
More on that coming up in a little bit. Go ahead.
So I want to be clear here. James Harden is not the first guy I would have chose. Guess what? Darius's trade value was so depressed that this is what you could get for him. You couldn't get Trey Murphy. Probably couldn't get Michael Porter Jr. Probably couldn't. That's a big wing that's averaging 25 a game and has been a key figure on a championship team. The Nets weren't just giving him away.
No. 216-474-0092. But I don't think it changes. I figured we would always get to something like this, and it would be predicated on Donovan's future. And I don't feel any different towards Donovan. It's just it throws a little bit more pressure on the guy to make sure that this goes along. Because Cavs fans, hey, I understand why you made the move. I ain't championing James Harden. It's oh, my God. I don't think I'd trust him either. As weird as it is to say.
Yeah, when you say trust?
I just didn't trust Donovan or Darius to stay healthy, and I thought we were going to run into a serious problem coming up here.
Boy, that's key. I want to get to the phones on this, too.
I was resigned to the thought, or what I thought was the fact that we couldn't trade Darius.
You said trust, and this needs to be highlighted because I think you're right. What basketball fan trusts James Harden when we've seen him in Game 7s flail out? We've seen some just bizarre, where you are going, what happened to him? It's like an out-of-body experience. This guy that I've seen hit all these threes and be a scoring champ, all of a sudden can't put the ball in the basket. Is it mental? What is that? No doubt. That's all on the tape. I've also watched him dominate a bunch of playoff games, too. I've never seen that from Darius. Mm-hmm. So when we talk trust, the Cavs do not trust Darius Garland, and they certainly sure as hell don't trust him with 2 bad toes. They just don't.
No. 216-474-0092. All right, Ryan in Brunswick, you're first up on the Fan. Ryan is gone. Maybe I hung up on him by accident. I'm sorry. Thomas and Shaker, hello.
Hey, Ken. Hey, 2 quick points. One, to Nick Wilson's defense, I think that he more or less didn't want to trade for Harden specifically, but he wasn't opposed to the idea of trading Garland.
Well, that's interesting. Stay here for a second, Thomas. You know what? That's a really interesting thing. Maybe he just did not want any bit of Harden. I think it shows you just how desperate they are probably to move on from Darius, and I think it might show you how serious maybe his future could be or how in peril his future could be that you are willing to entertain James Harden. Because, no one is going to deny that he has a sleigh full of baggage behind him coming here.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Me personally, I was kind of in the same camp I wanted other people, but I'm not against it for a couple of reasons. One, James Harden, he's a great pick and roll player, and he's going to be great for them bigs. You know, even if he doesn't score a lot in a playoff game, he still averages 8.5 assists a game. He's great pick and roll, so he works well. He can work really well with Evan Mobley and Jarrett Allen. And the other thing about this is I think that this way here is a mindset change for the team. Because if you ever watch a team when they play without Garland, they play with an added toughness that they don't play with Garland on the court. So there's more of a mindset change. You know, they're going for more the kind of mindset that Jalen Tyson have and Donovan Mitchell have, that kind of like dog mindset. And we need that on this team. We need to get rid of, these two polite guys, We need that dog in people. Thank you. That's it.
Thomas, thank you very much for the call.
Harden has had 8 seasons where he's averaged 26 points or more. So it's not a total disappearing act that people are remembering the bad games at the very end. But you've got Donovan Mitchell. Donovan Mitchell has taken his game to another level in the playoffs time and time again. How many 40 and 50-point games do we have? And I keep remembering this, and this is a tough one because this team is still built on Donovan. We were hoping Evan Mobley could be the best player on it. Well, not now. That's just not the case. So we got to deal in reality. And the Donovan Mitchell I saw last year was on fumes after just the second round. And we're talking about getting to the NBA Finals. He needs help.
Yeah.
And Darius was not helping him.
Owen?
Is James Harden a facilitator?
Yeah, he's one of the best passers I've ever seen.
Do you think that can lead to Evan Mobley getting back to where we thought he should be by now? Maybe not getting to the same height that everybody put the expectation on him, but at least getting him back to being more involved in the offense and maybe putting him in a spot where he is being more of an offensive contributor to the game and not just a guy who stands in the middle and blocks shots.
I think Evan Mobley is going to absolutely feast at the rim, catching lobs, catching dump-offs, him in the dunker's position. He is going to feast because now you could tell Evan, hey, forget about this spacing the floor and shooting threes and all that. That's fun. Once in a while, that's fine. Go down there. You're a 7-footer. Act like it. And now if he is in that area, especially with the two-man game, guys, watch the tape of how much money, by the way, James Harden made Capella, in his career, just doing that. And this guy, Evan Mobley, is so much better than him at those finishes. His hands are really good up in space. He is going to feast. And now he's where he needs to be for also offensive rebounds. So Harden will do a lot of flailing layups around the rim, just kind of put it up off the glass. Evan Mobley needs to be there and clean those up. And I think he can. And I think that is one of the things that may go unnoticed because we're used to James Harden ball stopping, dribble, step back three, trying to bait a three. But when James gets in his bag and pick and roll, there are few better in the game than him at doing that.
Should we stop at that then? Should we stop? If he's going to make Evan that much better, shouldn't he make Jarrett Allen that much better? Do I really need to go and move on?
I just don't know if Jarrett's going to be here. I don't know.
I don't know if Jarrett's going to be here past today or tomorrow. Is what I'm saying. That's what I mean.
Do we got over 24 hours?
Do we really need to move on from Jarrett then? I don't know how much more you can give up.
They need
for anybody else.
They need wings.
I'm just asking questions here. That's
tough
a cop out.
Yeah, they're tough to get. Jarrett Allen, just coming off that 40-point game. What a great. You want to talk about an audition for other teams? You want to talk about selling high after that game? What he did to a team that has good front court guys that can protect the basket in Portland.
I tell you,
that might be a lasting image that helps you get something for Jarrett Allen.
I got 10 seconds. Are we holding on to Dennis Schroeder through all this?
I don't know.
Because if you hold on to Dennis Schroeder through all this, he is a good defender. He will be a problem for a couple of teams in the East.
I'll tell you what, by the way, Harden is not a good defender, right? You know what he can do? He can actually guard bigger guys in the post. I know that sounds ridiculous. He's actually pretty good at it.
Coming up at 8 o'clock, John Fanta, he's got things he wants to get off his chest.
Darius
he was one
was
of the
not so good at that.
first ones who wanted to trade Darius Garland, but did he want to trade him for James Harden? John's going to tell us what he thinks of all this coming up at 8 o'clock. Coming up in 5 minutes. Can you believe the good old US of A might have to step in and stop a legend from competing? Ken Carman, Anthony Lima. It's Fat and Thin in the morning, going over one of the biggest trades in Cavs history on the Fan.
embarrassing. And we got to be better on defense.
It won't matter till April. I think we know that. Y'all gonna write us off. We could go 82-0. No one would care.
He's a piece of crap. The kid, he sucks. He's sucked his whole career.
I got rumors about him. How he couldn't please his wife, and so now he's divorced.
Put a damn winning team on the field.
Now the Ken Carman Show with Anthony Lima give their thoughts on what you might have missed about last night.
So the Olympics kick off this week, in case you weren't aware.
Heck yeah!
I mean,
You can say hell yeah. It's a radio show.
Heck yeah. I'm excited for the Olympics. I'm obsessed with the
Todd
Olympics.
Munkin's the coach now. You can say hell yeah, guys.
Okay. Is that the world that we're living in now?
Meredith.
I like the Winter Olympics.
Yeah, we got to talk like our head coach, but we yesterday on the podcast, I know you were out the door yesterday, but on the podcast.
I don't get invited to the podcast.
So we did bring up you come on Thursday.
Yeah.
We brought up the
you
luge.
would be on the pod. You're going to get more than you bargained for.
Saturday Night Live did a parody on athletes as a promotion for NBC, and they had the girl, the very tall, skinny girl, basically say, yeah, I'm not really an athlete.
Oh, yeah, that was Jane Wickline who played that character. I saw that skit. It was very funny.
Basically, gravity takes over, and I go down. And we were like, do you throw a parade for the person that wins the luge comparatively to the other, people that take part, the other participants? So what do you think of what do you think of the luge?
You know what I think needs to happen? I think you, Anthony,
I
need
to power rank the winter events as well.
You need to go try skeleton and tell me if you think that it's...
Probably.
He will die.
Yeah, probably.
You can't tell him to try skeleton as a 45-year-old man. He'll die.
Oh, well, then maybe you should celebrate the winner of the skeleton and the luge events.
Look, they are the best at what they are in the world. That's the point of the Olympics. My question is, how many people are really doing it?
People who fell into it, I guess. I don't know. But one athlete...
people who are
I think everyone that does it has fallen into the
That's
luge.
what they're literally doing. They are falling.
But okay, so we do have a legendary American athlete,
yes,
Lindsey Vonn, alpine skier, and she tore her ACL like 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, something like that.
She will be missed. It's going to be crappy to watch the event without her.
Except
not so fast.
She said that she tried a downhill event, or just went out to practice this week. Said her knee felt fine, and so she's planning on competing. Her event is on February 8th. So less than 2 weeks, like January 30th. So it was like last week or something.
This isn't a charity, right? It's the Olympics. You're trying to put the
that
best.
was Friday. Yeah.
You're trying to put the best athletes out there that have a chance to win. She has no chance to win now, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think that she's doing this because, she's 41 years old, so she probably realizes that might be the last time ever that she'll qualify for an Olympics. So I think she wants to make sure she gets in every event she possibly can. I think that's what's happening with her, is that because the next one in 4 years, she'll be 45. She may not qualify again.
Well, that's the age. I just said Lima can't compete. So there you go.
I feel like if there's a safe way that Lima can try out skeleton,
I
feel like
Lindsey Vonn over Lima.
It's true. With amputated legs,
yes,
and she'd still have a better shot.
Well, let me throw it out to you here. Now, you said she competes. Is she actually competing, or are we just going down to the bunny hill or something like this? Like, she's competing, right? It's the Olympics.
Yes,
okay.
She's going to her event, and she is going to compete in her event.
Then it's must-see television. You got me. I'm going to try to take a gander at a few things anyway, but no, I'm going to seek her out. This reminds me of Ricky Rudd in the '84 Busch Clash.
It's exactly like it. I was just thinking the same
That's
thing.
the only way to say it.
Having to tape your eyeball. His face was so swollen for the Daytona 500, he had to tape his eyes open. The Rooster.
God.
Come on.
We're talking about tough customers here,
That's
folks.
why they call it
I am
having
pro
red eyes.
Lindsey Vonn. This is like when Dale broke his shoulder blade, still got in that car the next week.
Yep. What happened to him?
Well, if you're
Shut up.
interested.
Do you not need your ACLs to ski?
I think it helps. I would have to say it helps.
I mean, aren't there's some...
But the good thing is that if you do go downhill with a torn ACL, what do you do afterwards? You ice it. Well, you're just skiing on what you got to fix.
Already iced.
Yeah.
You can't be serious when you said that. That had to be a joke. You're going down that hill 1,000 miles an hour.
There was some famous football players, right, that didn't have a meniscus and were able to somehow do ACLs.
Ronnie Lott. She's the Ronnie Lott. She cut off the legs.
She's probably going to take as many painkillers as she legally can, put a big brace on it, and
Tore
go.
it all, man. I've been around a lot of NFL football players there.
Because, if she's not going to compete beyond this Olympics, then what does she need her knee for?
Is she thinking about how Tiger Woods, someone that she used to be very familiar with,
right.
Is she thinking that Tiger Woods won a U.S. Open with a torn ACL and that she could do that? One's golf, okay? One's golf. The other is called skiing.
Yeah, I think your ACL is a little more I think you needed a little more for skiing.
Do we
than you
not
do for
have
golf.
backups? Do we not have a depth of
I would have
United States
there's
participants?
there are Olympic trials, so they could, I guess,
get her out of here.
conceivably go to the
Put her
next
on the
person in
broadcast.
line.
How about that? Put her on the broadcast instead.
Let her compete.
She doesn't need ACLs to do the broadcast.
Let her do the Buddy Baker when he was in the Open before the used to be called the Winston. Now it's the All-Star race.
That's good.
And then
More
he got
things
up in the
everyone
booth.
knows.
You see that? NASCAR references.
There it is.
Because
We're
we
using
got the
things
Clash
that we all know
today.
here.
The Clash is going on at 6 o'clock tonight, and me and my boys are going to be watching.
Well, if you're interested, before we move on, just want to let you know, curling starts today. That'll be at 1 o'clock. Opening ceremonies are on Friday.
How many ACLs do you need for that?
For curling, it depends on which one you are. Depends on whether
That's
you're the
fun.
sweeper or the rock
Fun
tosser.
sport.
Or we'll have to get
Those are the official
Jeff
names?
Thomas. No, I don't think so.
Oh,
We'll
Jeff
have to get
knows.
Yeah,
Jeff
Jeff
knows.
is the
Guy.
biggest
Jeff, your
curling fan
mic's
in the
on.
building.
Yeah. Jeff, you there? He ain't there.
Yeah, all right. So we thought an 18 game in the NFL was going to be, or an 18 game season. It was a done deal, especially with the way Robert Kraft was talking about it. Roger Goodell, when he spoke earlier this week, said that it's not a done deal yet. Yesterday, the interim executive director for the NFLPA, David White, talked about it as well. He said that players aren't really that excited about it. He says they don't have an appetite for it, and I can understand where that's coming from because I think we sort of are seeing it now with the 17 game season. You know, towards the end, you're seeing a lot of backups. You've got 30 different quarterbacks playing in a season because of injury, for rest purposes, for whatever reason. And if you want competitive football, what's the difference between seeing the backups in, games 17 and 18 versus seeing your fringe players in weeks 2 and 3 of the preseason?
You cannot deny, great point, Meredith, you cannot deny it waters down the product. But there's the however part to it. They still kick off at 1 o'clock, and I still watch. We do this with college football. Oh, college football's dead. And somehow they kick off at noon, and everybody in the country watches. I don't know when the end is actually there. And I kind of don't want to go finding it, but they'll get their 18th game, and I don't think it's going to be good. I think that load management creeps in. We're already seeing a little bit of that, and it waters down your product. It's worse football, and especially you're going to have worse football in week 1 because you have less practice games. So you're going to have worse football, even worse football in week 1, and it's going to continue into week 2 and 3. But
so here's what
I'll
I wonder.
still watch it. I'll still root on.
There's always a negotiation here, right? Like the players will always say, all right, we'll give you a 17th game if you let us do what? Smoke a lot of weed. Okay? What is going to be the case this time? What is going to be I don't think any other drugs are in play here. What are the players going to ask
let
for?
them gamble on other sports.
Would they stretch out the season? Are they saying 2 buys? Because doesn't that kind of hurt fantasy football? Isn't that going to be really annoying to the lay fantasy fan? Obviously, the gamblers, it's another week to lose money. Like, what is in this for the players?
Oh, you think gamblers look at this as it's another week to lose money?
I don't know. I don't know what gamblers are thinking.
Gamblers don't look at it that way.
Gamblers expect they're going to win every single time?
I just saw what Ohio pulled in last month, and yes, by looking at that, yes, the people wagering are losing.
Can we have
time.
a conversation about what Joe Kinsey had tweeted, that he said that there's some idiot who put a gambling app on their kid's phone so their kid can gamble? Like, we need to.
What happened to all the disclaimers that said must be 21 plus?
We need to do
18
over in Ohio.
18 or we hear those disclaimers at the end of every single commercial.
I saw that tweet. Honestly, I'm not trying to be overbearing here. I was disgusted. I mean, that we need to do like a parents who host type of thing. I mean, that's incredible. You're gonna allow. I mean, I told you what they said, that what the next generation is going to be, and I understand, and we have to do everything in responsible ways and things like that. But my God, what are you doing?
I mean, I agree with you, Ken. I don't have kids, but I do think that introducing children to gambling in that way, there needs to be some repercussions.
They're gonna find it. It is the way it goes. But I don't need to introduce my kids to it.
Like you should be teaching them how to play War, like the card game. And you should be playing with them rather than putting an app on their phone and being like, all right, have more screen time.
Did a lot of solitaire. I did a lot of TI-85 Tetris.
Boobless? Did you write Boobless?
Yeah, every day.
Well, you didn't need a TI-89 for that. You could do that with a regular calculator.
I know. Well, I didn't have a I didn't get it high enough in math to get a TI-85 calculator, so I stuck to boobs and boobless.
Congrats on all your success.
Thank you. Hey, man.
That's it for About Last Night.
Say what you will, and you're going to call me a loser. You guys are watching and listening to me. What do you think of that? I win. Coming up next, John Fan is going to join us on the show from the NBA on NBC. He was one of the first that wanted Darius Garland traded. But for James Harden, we'll discuss coming up in 5 on The Fan.
This is
goes to Baltimore, and Lamar Jackson had already been an MVP once. By any measure, he got Lamar as a passer to improve greatly. I think he's just a great football coach, and I love this for Cleveland.
Catch Odyssey NFL insider Ross Tucker on Afternoon Drive every Wednesday at 4. We are Sports Radio 92.3 The Fan.
Cavs traded Darius Garland for James Harden. And for 3 years, I listened to people that all they wanted to seem to do was trade Darius Garland. And now for the last 24 hours, I mean, I got people cussing out Dan Gilbert, cussing out Kobe Altman, saying that they're not going to watch the Cavs again, which is unbelievable to me. They said they're not going to watch the Cavs again. I go, wait a minute, I thought you guys were all for this. But I do remember there was a time where we had John Fanta on before, when he was just John Fanta doing some college basketball here and there. And John was the first person to say that it's time to trade Darius Garland. And now, you know, John is, let's call it, he's the next Marv Albert on NBC.
I caught that. Yeah.
Okay. I didn't mean it like that, guys. Come on.
You sure?
Come on. Keep it above board here. He's a family man now. He's a local guy. Is there another NBC broad? He's the next Bob Cost. Well, no, after the 2016 World Series. You know what? John Fanta just joins us right now. NBA on NBC. He's the next John Fanta. He's on the Make It Right, Call Kyle Wright hotline. He was texting us yesterday. He has opinions to get off his chest. Hello, John.
Good morning, Ken and Anthony. Great to be with you. Why are people out there saying that they're just going to stop watching the Cavaliers? I find that very hard to believe.
I swear to God. Lima said he saw it, so I shouldn't swear because I'm going off Lima's words, so maybe it's not true. What did you think of this trade?
Well, I think that this trade is a signal of a couple of things. First off, for the Cavs fans who are angry about Darius Garland being dealt because of what they call years of goodwill, I read yesterday, or years of developing and building this out and doing it the right way and evolving as an organization. Okay, what has it actually produced? This is the NBA. More than the three leagues is built on, can you find superstars? Can you find stars who can build off of one another? Darius Garland is a good to really good player. When he's fully healthy, he's a really good player. But he hasn't won an MVP honor, and I understand that was in 2018. And he also is not an 11-time All-Star. The Cavaliers, Kobe Altman is judged by whether or not he could contend for a championship. That's what he's judged on. And he's also judged on, can you create organizational flexibility and the ability to not just compete this year, but try to compete in future years? And to me, this signals, number one, in a weak Eastern Conference, the Cavaliers as currently constituted before James Harden were not in a position where they were a top three team in the Eastern Conference or where they could actually contend for an Eastern Conference crown. That's number one. Number two, Darius Garland's been off the floor more than he's been on it. So this year, you have to find a way to help yourself in the now and go for it and be aggressive, because that core four, this is not a wait and see. You wait and see too long, Ken, and you're not going to be able to do anything. They had to figure out a way to better their roster. And in the here and now, they got a guy who's going to be on the floor, and they got a guy who's still one of the best pure scorers in basketball.
John Fanta with us right now. So the one thing I've been getting the most is Harden's already proven he can't win a championship. What would you say to that, John Fanta?
I would say that, and we don't know if the Cavs will do anything else. There's a lot of scuttle about them exploring a variety of options, Anthony. But I would say that the Cavaliers have other pieces that James Harden hasn't been on the same team as a guy like Evan Mobley, who, when he's fully healthy, he's the best defensive player in the NBA, maybe next to Victor Wembanyama, if not the best. Because to me, the Cavs are a team that can help James Harden with the different supplemental pieces that they have around him. And I know he's been on talented teams, and I get it. But, the Western Conference is notably, and I know you'd have to go through a Western Conference team in the NBA Finals. I get that. And yesterday, our friend Nick Wilson and I, well, he's definitely my friend. My friend Nick
He's all
Wilson
our friend. What do you mean he's not our friend? He's not my friend? I love it. I wouldn't bust his stone so badly if he wasn't a friend. I wouldn't even pay attention to him if I didn't like him.
We debated this, and his side was, well, who are you actually going to beat in the West? Because the West is so much better than the East, and the West is going to probably win the NBA Finals. It's a fair point, but, we don't – but here's the thing. Nobody had Tyrese Halliburton on their bingo card last year, then getting hurt. And I'm not saying that the Thunder wouldn't have won the series, but neither here nor there. The fact is, this Cavaliers team has different pieces that he hasn't played with. He's not being asked to come in here and be the number one. The Cavs have a number one. It's Donovan Mitchell. Donovan Mitchell is a top 10 player in the NBA. Okay? I know he's not an all-star starter. I still think that he's that caliber of a player, and there's different nature to the selection of that. He is a top 10 player in the NBA in my book. You had to go out and get someone who can help you in the now and can get you buckets in a world in the NBA where when we get to the playoffs, guys, the last couple of years, when the Cavaliers have gotten that, do you know what has ended up happening in the springtime? Their offense has become predictable. Their offense has become a one or two trick pony, and you're saying, yeah, this is very easy for a team to read. And guess what? They lose a series because of it, because they get out physical and they're not able to generate enough different sources of offense. James Harden should help and Evan Mobley. If Jared Allen's around, he should help Jared Allen. When you have two players the caliber of Harden and Mitchell, they should be able to create other avenues for other guys to score. I'm curious to see how Jalen Tyson can continue to grow from this. And Max Strus, whenever we do see him, how that is going to help, because you got to think it's going to help your other shooters. You can't just go in and say, well, he hasn't won a championship, so what? Well, guess what? The Cavaliers haven't won one either. Because Darius Garland has this championship background. The fact is, that core four was never going to get you to be playing in June. And that's why I've been an advocate for this, because in the NBA, if they had waited much longer with Garland's value's gone down in the last 365 days. If you're being judged to go for it, you had to do something like this.
I got to tell you, John, when you first brought this up, this is a couple years ago you brought this up. I mean, I bristled at you. I know. And maybe I got a little confused because I got so used to arguing, because I think a lot of people were thinking, well, this team's just better without Garland on the floor. And I don't think they are. But I also didn't think that they would trade for anybody. I think this is just kind of the last gasp for being able to trade anybody back of value for Darius Garland. That all said, I had to ask Lima, what are you? Lima said that they're trading for a lottery ticket. The Clippers are. Is that basically what that becomes?
In terms of Garland and
yes.
the upside, Anthony?
Yes.
That's what they're doing, but here's the thing. The Cavaliers clearly had to see the writing on the wall in their minds. This is how I think, and you could push back on this. It's not the first time we've disagreed, but this is my take on this. The Cavaliers are reading different medical reports and getting medical knowledge and information that says, there's going to be screws put in this man's foot. That's part of the situation. That these feet issues, how do feet issues work in basketball? Well, they typically end up being an issue as time goes on, and then getting amplified and then holding someone back. And that's the harsh reality of this. I think Cavs fans, I know that this stinks for the people who love Darius Garland. I know that there's literally Twitter accounts that are dedicated to Darius Garland. Garland's name is in them. And so there's a lot of Cavs fans that are distraught and upset about this. You have to remove the emotion of this. I know that that's hard. I know you become attached to a player, but you have to understand Darius Garland's issues are not just going to go away from a medical standpoint. I hope that they do from his point, but we have years of basketball knowledge to say if these things are lingering, with the toe issues, not to mention some other issues that he's had, that's a red flag. That's a concern. And your counter could be, well, James Harden has several red flags. And what about the locker room stuff? And what about that? I'm hoping that the Cavaliers in their minds are saying, look, we've dealt with big-time personalities as an organization. We've dealt with big egos as an organization. We also believe in our process and believe in how we do things. And he is 36. He's been around the block. He's in his, he's in the late stages of his career. And we're going to bring this guy in because isn't our goal to be a top-tier team in the East? And to this point, they haven't been that this season. So I also think the other thing that's not being talked about is, the Cavaliers, if you have major concerns about Darius Garland, which this trade to me signals that you did, you've got to create financial flexibility. Now, James Harden, next deal, next contract, I know that's very much in the, it's in the fray, and I get hesitant about giving him that and with his age and all that, but I know this much, keeping Darius Garland on the books as a second apron team, well into that second apron, that's not good news either. If your goal is, again, to try to win a championship.
John, do you think now they are going to the NBA Finals? Do they got a legit shot here?
I think that they have I think what you have to expect, okay, or what your expectation can be is, okay, how do we get to the Eastern Conference Finals? And I know that the counter to that instantly is, well, you're saying that the goal is to compete for a championship. Okay, my argument for that is you want to go one round and be done? Because this team was on track to maybe win a first-round series, as they were. We don't know if Garland, how much he would have ended up playing. If the Cavaliers had been the 5 seed and met the Toronto Raptors, and you're like, oh, yeah, they'll win that series, then you're not watching Toronto play. Toronto's a scary team in the next 24 hours in this Eastern Conference. They have money. They have assets to play with. They have a really good young core. Guess what, guys? The other teams in the East are going to get better. They're going to get better right now, or at least they're going to try damn well to. And if you just keep standing pat, the car's going to pass you by. It's going to pass you by. So the goal, is to get to the finals. Anthony, my projection would be Eastern Conference Finals, provided that people stay healthy and that this can pan out. And you have to now, because Jason Tatum, we don't know. He may come back, but we don't know to what degree that's going to be, if he even does. There's speculation about what that would look like. But the Boston Celtics are still really good. They're still really, really good team, and they get Vucevic yesterday, who's a mobile big. They help themselves. The Raptors and Knicks are trying like hell to help themselves. The Pistons kind of have this Cavaliers theme, like they've taken off, but I think people still want to see it to believe it come playoff time. Because playoff time's a different monster. As we all learned last year again, when the Cavs have an incredible regular season, playoff time's a different monster. And you could say that James Harden disappeared in a Western Conference playoff Game 7, and you'd be right about that. But I'd also say, look who was on the other side of that. It's Nikola Jokic and Jamal Murray and a Denver team that if they had played their best in a loaded West, they could have been there at the end. The East is not as strong as the West. And Donovan Mitchell, Ed Mobley, James Harden, man, that's a really good, dynamic, interesting, talented core three that others should benefit by. Darius Garland's a really good player. But to me, the Garland-Donovan Mitchell collaboration was not conducive to making the big playoff run. The pieces didn't fit.
John Fanta, NBA on NBC, Football Night in America as well. I got 30 seconds. What did you think of Todd Monken's introductory press conference?
Ken, I love the emotion, talking about his family. I think it's something that everybody can relate to. And I love that he's a football guy. I love that on his first day on the job, he showed up in an outfit that could have been purchased from the Olmsted Falls Walmart. Like, this to me, and by the way, I've purchased many an outfit from there too.
I didn't think it fit very well.
Albert did too.
Oh, boy. By the way, the answer to Keith's question is no, I am not. So the other thing, look, I like the hire, I like the introduction. I like the start of it. He's a football guy. This organization needs some personality, and they need an all-business person. Todd's going to be a different personality.
Yes, he certainly is. How did you check that message while you were giving an answer?
Ken, versatility, flexibility, ability to find different ways to make things happen. But thank you, Keith, for asking me about my wardrobe this morning. I still am in my pajamas, but thank you.
Should Lima and I feel threatened that we're probably going to speak at your sports broadcasting camp?
Threatened.
John, my wife saw this.
I can't wait.
I can't
wait for you to talk with the kids.
So again, John, I never told anybody or anything, and then she saw it and then was like, do I have to put this on the calendar?
Yeah.
And then she asked, how much are we getting paid?
Oh, well.
Yeah.
So just something to think about.
We'll be in touch with the finances of it. I'll call Falls Motor City and see if they can sponsor the spot.
Maybe she can get some of those clothes that John may have in the back of his car, considering, everything that Keith just texted. All right, John, thank you.
Please not walk in and tell the kids about different announcers' wardrobe and what they would wear.
Not Dan Hicks. We would never do that.
Thank you. Please. Let's try to teach the kids a lesson, for heaven's sake.
Yeah, what not to do, and that's why they can look at us. John, thank you for the time.
Boy.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Ken and Anthony.
Goodbye. John Fanta. NBA on NBC, as well as Football Night in America, also on NBC. Todd doesn't want him back. It's over. It's time to move on before it's too late. Ken Carman, Anthony Lima. Well, I think we know who we're talking about, but in case you don't, I'll tell you in 5 minutes on The Fan.
92.
Right now, New England is trading at 32% to beat Seattle. $100 trade pays out $289. Use code FAN to get $20 when you trade $100. KALSHI. Kalshi. Trade on anything.
In your weeknight with the best segments of the day. The Fan Rewind. Weeknights at 11.
James Harden spoke to Ramona Shelburne about 6 hours ago. We'll have that for you a little bit later on. Also, guys, I think that this is pretty stupid, but it's gotten to the point that so many people are talking about it, including Albert Breer yesterday on Afternoon Drive, that it has to be addressed. So I think it's going to be a low point for sports talk radio in this city, but I guess it's got to be addressed at around 9:22. Big thanks to John Fanta. Fanta's the best. How old's Fanta? 30? 31? He's young. He's still young. Is he 30 yet? All these play-by-play guys are built in a factory now. Oh, same hair, same voice, same pipes. Here come your Clippers now. Here come the Kings. A lateral ash thrown on it. And then you got Fanta, and he's just personality personified. God, I love the guy. Cleveland loves the guy. What a good kid. 216-474-0092. Just call in about Fanta. No, I'm kidding. Yesterday, Todd Monken spoke to the media, Owen, and had this to say when he was asked if Jim Schwartz is coming back.
Well, first of all, I think Jim is an outstanding defensive coordinator. I think we all would agree with that. But I think it's a little inappropriate for me to comment about that at this time.
Because there's still a contract you need to work out. By the way, I was under the impression for days, because that's what was written, that he is under contract for just this year. Apparently, Jim Schwartz is under contract through 2027. It was
we
what I
always
was
thought
told
it was just one
yesterday.
more year.
Yeah, Owen almost spit out his drink. Yeah, I thought this. I was like, where did this come from? We had beat reporters on like, he's through 2026, and then I had a producer I over at 8 who was like, no, it's 2027. Can I go, what? No one texted me? Nobody?
One of the weird things, and I'm surprised this is the case in the year 2026, how do we not know, A, what coaches are getting paid? Because obviously we don't have a salary cap when it comes to coaches.
Private business.
But why in the world, when you have a league and you're comparing team to team, and if anything, the coaches should want that information out, because the exchange of salary information only helps people in the marketplace. Well, that's a story for a different day. We don't need to get involved in politics to talk about that. All I'm saying is, it is weird. None of us knew. None of us knew, and we never know about how much any of these coaches are making or what the terms of their contract are. It's only when the information is volunteer.
I just take wild guesses, and I say over $5 million, and that sounds like a lot. So, yeah, if they make $5 million, $6 million, $7 million, it's all funny money to the listener, so it really doesn't matter in the grand sense of things. But it made me think twice, because I'm like, well, if he's through 2027, then these deals are clearly broken all the time, and that they could move on from Jim Schwartz if they wanted to. Because my whole thing was, okay, if you guys really insist, because I said I think that I don't think it's water under a bridge. I think that there has been a fracture, and that he ain't coming back, and he don't intend on coming back, and he won't come back, and I really don't think they should want him back. And that's nothing personal to Jim Schwartz, but he's made it very public what he thinks of who his new boss is supposed to be. So I don't think that you should invite that type of distraction into your franchise, when I got a lot of people out there saying we should be kicking out other distractions, quote unquote. More on that coming up a little bit later on.
I read the quote yesterday, and I was like, before I heard it. So I read it, and I'm like, oh my God, he's taking shots at Schwartz. And then you heard him, and it wasn't that at all. It's so funny, the difference in seeing a quote and hearing a quote, and you heard him, and it just made common sense, right? Yes, teams absolutely are very concerned when they go up against the Browns of Myles Garrett first and foremost, and they're concerned about Denzel Ward first and foremost.
Do you want to play that clip?
Yeah, so hear this. Listen to this. I didn't think he was being that mean to Jim Schwartz.
I said this to the other guys. I didn't think I'd say it, but I'm going to say it. When I was preparing for the Cleveland Browns, I wasn't trying to chip Jim Schwartz. I was chipping Myles Garrett. And when I was sliding a protection to the outside backers or Grant Delpit that were blitzing off the edge, I was sliding the protection to the players. And when I was worried about throwing to the right against Denzel Ward or Tyson Campbell to the left, that's who I was worried about throwing at.
And immediately when he said that, I'm like, you know what? He's not wrong. Like, I do think Jim Schwartz has helped the defense and helped Myles Garrett, but at some point you got to have the unbelievable talent. But I thought the same thing. When teams are going up against the Baltimore Ravens the last 3 years, they weren't thinking, oh my God, how do we stop Todd Monken's scheme? They were like, we got to worry about Lamar Jackson on every play. We have to have an extra defender sometimes too. Derrick Henry, how are we going to tackle him? What are we going to do when he starts getting downhill? Yes, it's nice that Todd Monken runs a good offense. Same thing. It's nice that Jim Schwartz runs a great scheme. What is that great scheme if you take out Myles Garrett and put an average pass rusher there? Changes everything.
But regardless, these comments are public now.
Yeah.
And it sounds like it's tough talking Todd. Have you changed? You said you'd welcome him back, if I'm not mistaken. Have you changed your opinion on that? Have you changed your position on Jim Schwartz coming back? Because I haven't. I think that this kind of seals the deal. And I really think they need to make a public split right now and move on so we can get somebody in here that maybe Todd Monken's been thinking about.
I can't lie. The two best hires that have been made for the Cleveland Browns over the last 6 years, they were, and you can tell me which order you want to put them in, but they were Bill Callahan and they were Jim Schwartz. And I think
losing Bill Callahan arguably was the beginning of the end for Kevin Stefanski.
And I think most Browns fans would say, man, those were two that they nailed. They knocked out of the park. Those were two of the best at what they did in the league. We can debate Kevin and how good he was. He had his ups and downs. We can debate all of that stuff. The reality was that Bill Callahan and Jim Schwartz were two of the best at what they did in the league, and now they're both gone. That doesn't mean that they're irreplaceable or anything like that, but I think they're hard to replace. I do think they could be a challenge to replace.
Oh, yes, of course. Of course. It's not easy to replace good assistants. They're dealing with it in Detroit. He's going to deal with it over in Seattle after Sunday. Mike McDonald's going to have to because he's going to lose his OC. That's one of the biggest. I think that's part of it is that you have teams that need to move through offense, organizations that move through offense. It's hard to hire great offensive minds, and I think that's part of what moves people or moves organizations to hiring offensive coaches, especially if you get a guy who's going to call his own plays. So you don't have to worry, as long as it works, you don't have to worry about hiring an offensive coordinator and doing all that other stuff. I mean, you have a guy in name, but you don't have to worry about such an important spot to you. But when it comes to Jim Schwartz, the only thing I'm trying to point out, again, it's not to demean Jim Schwartz. It's the same thing when I got really mad that people thought I was demeaning Bill Callahan. You have to be ready to pivot when you move on from a head coach, and you have to be ready to pivot if one of your assistants moves on to a better opportunity. You cannot just be beholden to your assistants that much, or they should have just been your head coach. Hello, Kyle Shanahan. They should have just been that. So I have a lot of respect and even admiration for Jim Schwartz, but he made his bed, and it's over. And I don't think that Jim Schwartz is like trying to look through the window to see if he can get back in and is using his key card. I just think this is done, and we just need to move on.
And by the way, you got to do something here, right? Like, you don't have all day. Every other team is starting to fill up their...
That's what I'm saying.
The question is, what are the Browns...
We got to do this sooner than later.
How practical do you go about doing this?
Do you want Zach Orr as your defensive coordinator?
Fine.
What?
Right? I mean, whatever. I don't know.
No.
Give me names.
No. I told you.
Do you just want to elevate the guys that were here?
I told you before. Well, what's Sean McDermott doing? I'm serious.
There's no chance, right? Would he
Why
do
not?
that?
Couldn't he? Hold on. Couldn't he keep his severance from the...
Yeah, I don't know what the offset language was.
As long as he's a DC, he's not a head coach. Couldn't he keep his money? You get 2 paychecks? Okay, say he doesn't work. I told you, I'd be very comfortable. He's done it before. I'd be as comfortable as I'm going to be if you bumped up Jason Tarver.
Okay.
He's been a DC, I think, twice over before. Did a pretty decent job with what he had. I know he's a damn good linebacker coach. I know that the defensive guys really, really admire and respect him. Move him up. If we're that hard up for it, or if this continues to drag out, you might have no other choice, Tone. Like, we got to come to an end to this sooner than later. It's got to happen here in the next. I think in the next coming days here, it's got to happen.
Kind of
we got to
like
move on.
You're up against it because you got to fill out the step one way or another.
We can't drag this out. It's got to end. And I hope that the only thing that's holding this up is that what he's going to get out of his contract, or what he's got to give back, or any of those other things. This has got to end soon. Todd Monken is the new head coach, and like it or not, he has to assemble his staff of people he trusts. And we might end up cussing them out, and I may end up 4 weeks into the season really, really missing Jim Schwartz. That's part of the deal when you hired Todd Monken. It's his team. You got to hand it over to him now. He deserves it. He's a head coach now. You have to give him his power. And if part of that power is not having Jim Schwartz back, then damn it, so be it. I'll judge him by that. 216-474-0092. All right, and around 9:22, I really think that this is silly, but so many people are saying it that I have to address it. And Lima didn't do his job yesterday, and somehow he won in the end. Ken Carman, Anthony Lima on the Fan.
Anthony Lima for man.
ExpressWash.com today.
The home of Westwood One's coverage of the Super Bowl.
Please welcome the Vince Lombardi Trophy.
We are Sports Radio 92.3 The Fan.
Even when I think he's going to lose, he ends up winning. I was sincere. I thought I was accusing you of not doing your job yesterday as a radio show host in this city. James Harden is going to play for the Cleveland Cavaliers. We'll get into that more coming up here in just a little bit, because there's other moves that probably need to be made or fans are going to want to make. I mean, why stop now? Why stop just with James Harden there, Kobe? Maybe there's other things we need to do. We'll discuss that coming up here in moments. However, I found myself yesterday going, damn it, the slippery wizard won again. They traded for James Harden. Mackenzie Flume, by the way.
So she broke the story?
Mackenzie Flume.
Why didn't Shams give her credit?
Flume Dog Millionaire. Flumigation. Flume Boom.
What did we call it? Anytime she breaks something.
Yes.
Was it called a Flume Boom?
I called it a Flume Boom. But
I
other
call it
people
flumigating.
He called it flumigating. I like flumigating better. She broke the story. She broke it. I couldn't believe it. Good for her. Outstanding work by Mackenzie Flume. She broke it, but the story comes out. Somebody else said, Nom de Flume.
It's pretty good.
Matt McGlough. Social media reactions brought to you by
Scheiben Jewelers, Cleveland's premier jewelry store.
8:45 and 28 seconds for those scoring at home. The trade broke, and I noticed myself sitting on my couch looking at my phone, and I looked up, and there was like 6 minutes or something left to go in the second quarter or whatever, and I went, damn it, he's right. I barely paid attention at all to the Pro Bowl game, the 7-on-7 game. I go, Lima won. I lost. I was accusing you of not doing your job because it seemed like you were going to go out of your way to not watch it. I missed one of Shador's interceptions.
Well, you had multiple instances that you could have.
I went to bed in the third quarter. There were two.
Was it exciting? Was it fun to watch for the people that did watch?
Exciting's not the word. I said it was content. It was content. I started watching more of it as like time went on and we got all the details. And I saw you getting in, not vicious arguments, but you were going back and forth with a lot of people about the James Harden trade.
Well, just the timing. I swear to God, I sat down to put on that, and it was just, I couldn't keep up with all the news because it wasn't just the Cavs news. There was other news. Then we were wondering if the Giannis thing could break at any moment.
Well, yeah, because he left the floor. So a lot of people were wondering that. So I started staring at my phone, and I missed a lot. It was content. That's what it was. It seemed that the people who were there watching as fans, they wanted to be there. Micah Parsons was riding around on a rascal. He was having fun. But it wasn't.
Jason Kelce, decent on commentary.
Yeah, you're right. That was true. But it wasn't.
Does he have a future?
In Pro Bowl commentating, yes, absolutely.
It seemed like Scott Van Pelt was a bit bored.
Yes.
Okay, just so we're aware of all this.
Well, just put him on for New Year's and have two dudes making out in Times Square. That'll get his attention.
It is. I couldn't believe that he. I couldn't believe that some people were trying to take it seriously. It wasn't very serious, but they were having fun. Shador had fun, and it was nice to see them running around. He gave an interview. Found him to be delightful in the interview. But in the end, you win. And I even posted it on social media. I said, this time next year, I'll probably be watching James Harden and Donovan Mitchell and LeBron and Giannis all play for the Cavs against I don't know who, and I will not be watching this. But for today or yesterday, it was content. That's what it was. And I came away with very little to take away other than he threw a couple of picks, and then immediately people started tweeting at me after the picks. That's when I knew he threw the first pick, was that people started tweeting at me after the first pick.
Who cares
Anthony,
that he threw some picks?
They care, and you care. You know you care. You know you had people tweeting at you last night during them picks going, what's Ken going to say here? And you knew it was going to happen. You knew it was going to happen.
Well,
so that's guys, that's part of the fun. When's the last time we sat there and bickered about a guy's performance in the Pro Bowl? Never. It's never happened. And you can say that that's sad, but there was one reason for me to watch the Pro Bowl yesterday. I've seen Denzel Ward be a tremendous player for a long time. Goes without saying he's a Pro Bowler. Yeah. Same thing with Myles Garrett. I don't need to watch Myles Garrett or Denzel Ward. I saw Denzel Ward because I was tuning in for Shador. I got to see Joe Flacco because of that, which was fun too.
Didn't Denzel steal the show as a fashion icon? Yesterday I saw a lot of, wasn't that him that was wearing some...
But he wasn't wearing that while playing.
No.
He just showed up in it.
Yeah. I thought that he stole the show before the game for what he was wearing. So if anybody could get me a box score, I'll tabulate the data and put out a chart for the flag football game to see where was Shador's EPA per flag football game. If somebody can get me a box score, I can't find a box score.
The interception he did, I will admit, the interception he threw in the corner of the end zone did look a lot like the Steelers' interception.
Gronk, people have asked Gronk about it. Gronk says he went 17 of 22 for 349 yards and 4 TDs. It did note that he did have an interception.
Okay.
It says it can't find a box score.
Even Gronk.
And if Gronk can't find a box score...
Gronk gave up after the third quarter.
You guys know this. Gronk sucks on sports. Gronk is terrible at sports.
Gronk, don't listen to him.
Gronk is terrible.
You matter, too.
At sports. This AI stuff has to stop.
Gronk's coming for you.
It needs to end. Fine. 216-474-0092.
If Shador, listen.
I can't have the discussion with you. You didn't watch it, and I want to accuse you of not doing your job.
Well, tell me what I missed.
But because of the James Harden trade, I don't think anybody was watching. Had James Harden not been traded for last night, I think maybe a lot more people would have been watching. We would have had more of a conversation. But I don't think anybody was watching other than me.
If it was that entertaining and I missed
out,
let me know.
And the people who hate Shador. I was like the only person who liked Shador that was watching that game. It seemed
the whole
yesterday.
Evening.
Well,
I looked at my phone. It was 14-0. I looked at my phone. It was 32-14. Yeah. I looked at my phone. It was 52-52.
It was tied up going into the fourth, and I said, night.
I don't really know when they scored or who they scored other than a lineman scored a couple times.
There you go. That's. Oh, no, Garrett Bowles took over. It was domination by Garrett Bowles.
Wow.
I saw that, and that's
Garrett
about
Bowles
it.
Plays what position?
He plays offensive line for the Denver Broncos. His family was there. They showed his family a lot. It was a nice moment. It was touching. He gave interviews, and that was it. I was taken aback because I was under the impression from NFL.com that it was two 20-minute halves. And so when I looked up and there was like 27 seconds left to go in the second, I go, oh, my gosh, I basically missed this whole game because of the James Harden trade. Turns out, no, it was only the end of the second quarter. That threw me for a loop.
Okay.
Also, can I throw something in there real quick? I didn't know there was such a thing called flag guarding in flag football.
Which is?
Shador took off on a run, and they threw a flag on him because somebody tried to pull his flag, and apparently you can't put your hand down and slap someone's arm away. That's called flag guarding. That's a penalty. It's 5 yards. I didn't know that.
Oh, that's huge in the youth game right now. People guarding flags.
Keith's son got a flag for stiff-arming somebody. He's only 5.
Okay, is this going to take off, though, flag football, the way people talk about it taking off?
It's going to be in the Olympics, so it doesn't matter if it's going to take off or not. It's going to be in the Olympics.
Is it something, though, what I mean is it something that if some of the better athletes started playing it, that it's something people would tune into and it'd be a big TV event?
I don't
think
think
that
so.
could
How
ever
many people
happen?
watch the Big Three? It's still a league, and it's still very
I gave
active.
it a chance for a year.
Right.
Lost total interest.
Well, you know what? You got to really be into it to turn it on TV if it's not an Olympic event or something like that, because it is weird to see Jamar Chase, because they're not taking it seriously. So maybe if they took it seriously, like I've seen guys, fiddling around on my phone in the bathroom. Because
a lot of articles were about how it's going to be in the Olympics, right?
Yeah.
So we got to get ready for it. But there was, after every big play, all of the participants ran onto the field, and Micah Parsons drove his rascal out there 20 times.
Yeah, he did.
That's not going to happen in the Olympics.
No. So
there's going to be some sort of
So
decorum.
honestly, you're right. That's a poor representation of what it's going to be. Because, I got a buddy, Lavelle. He played flag football, and I saw videos of him basically decapitating other people and him being decapitated. Bunch of headless horsemen running around. And you see that fiddling around on the internet with some of that stuff. Well, they're taking it seriously. These guys did not take any of it seriously. It was just it was content. It was NFL content.
Yeah, so obviously the NFL, it is very rare that they get upstaged against anything. I mean, think about it. The NBA had owned Christmas Day forever, and what did they do? They we're going to put some NFL games on, and nobody cared about the great NBA basketball that was happening on Christmas Day. This was the rare day that the NBA upstaged the NFL, and my question is, does the NFL care, and will they go back to the drawing board on what to do with this week in general?
I don't know if there's very much more you can do.
The NFL, I got to say,
the NFL honors this week,
the Super Bowl. Even the NFL people on their podcasts are like, it's kind of dead. There isn't the buzz because Patrick Mahomes isn't here. You don't have Josh Allen. You don't have Lamar Jackson. You don't even have Joe Burrow. You have what has been a great year from Sam Darnold, and Drake May was great until the playoffs, but these guys haven't truly made a name for themselves. And so what's been the story? Mike Vrabel saying some fun things, but what has truly been the story? Do people even know who the Seahawks head coach is? So
yeah, well,
the casual fan does not know who the Seahawks head coach is.
Yeah, I wrote it down. Is anybody pulling against Sam Darnold? I don't think anybody is pulling against Sam Darnold. Are you pulling against the Patriots because it's the Patriots?
Just maybe that.
But it's Mike Vrabel. You don't want to do that, right?
So what I'm saying is the NFL
Jeremiah Farms Jr. You don't want to pull against the Patriots.
Is there going to be any lesson learned? Is there going to be any takeaway that Roger Goodell, because when the NFL wants to and get back in the lab and fix things, they fix it. They do not allow their events to be upstaged by anything else. Kind of felt like it was upstaged yesterday.
Oh, in this city, 100%.
And in L.A.?
I think everywhere. I mean, James Harden is a MVP. He's a former MVP, for crying out loud. It was upstaged. And when it comes to content and things that I got to watch, there's times I'll just defer to what's doing your job. James Harden and paying attention to everything that was being written about James Harden was doing my job.
You know when it won't get upstaged? When everything gets pushed back 2 weeks because they added an 18th game and an extra bye. And the NBA trade deadline is already over.
They're going to do everything they can to get this thing to President's Day weekend. It's everything they can do. Let NASCAR have it.
They're going to be playing on Arbor Day.
Have the President's Day weekend. Damn it. Left turns, man. Come on.
Ricky Rudd wants it.
Do what's right by Ricky. He's still with us. Dale can't speak anymore. Coming up at 9:20. I think it's real stupid, but a lot of people are saying it who I actually do respect, so it's a conversation we have to have. And you got James Harden here. There's still questions there. Who else do they need to go get? Is it damn the Torpedoes time fully with everybody except for Donovan Mitchell? Ken Carman, Anthony Lima. Take us with you to work on the free Odyssey app. Take peace of mind when you go to
I'm Jeff Thomas.
This is what Breaking Browns news sounds like.
When you talk about who's going to lead this team, who has the it factor, who has those characteristics that the team wants to follow and believes in them because the ball's in their hand every down. This game's going to come down to 2-minute situations, 4-minute situations, where you've got to be able to execute at a high level.
This is the radio home of the Cleveland Browns, 92.3 The Fan.
Coming up in moments, audio that one of us just said, that's just a silly boy. However, we have ourselves, as Lima calls him, a Connie. Idiot. Go ahead.
Yeah, Kenny, here's a Connie. Win a pair of tickets to Post Malone presents Big Ass Stadium Tour with Jelly Roll and Carter Faith on Thursday, June 25th, Huntington Bank Field. Did you see Post Malone do the tribute to Ozzy at the Grammys? I saw it. It was interesting. End of the word flex. F-L-E-X. By the end of the hour at 923thefan.com to get registered to win, courtesy of Live Nation. Tickets on sale Tuesday, February 10th at 10 a.m. Ticketmaster.com.
Do you know the Monkin' Man, the Monkin' Man, the Monkin' Man? Do you know the Monkin' Man? I don't know the rest of the words.
Lives on Drury Lane, so we
Lives
got
on Drury Lane?
We got to come up with something else.
Lives on Lou Groza Boulevard, lives in
Well,
Strongsville.
maybe that's a...
You get it. Someone get it.
Find out what cities in Northeast Ohio have a Drury Lane. That's where he's moving.
Some of the things that the Monkin' Man had said led some of the media to wonder about the future of certain players that the Monkin' Man has to coach. That coming up at 9:22. However, James Harden is a Cleveland Cavalier, as the story went out last night. And some audio from the silly boy, a silly question brought up. Do you want to play that again there, Tone?
I do.
All right.
I do.
Guys,
I think it's interesting. The one thing I've heard the most is James Harden cannot win a title because he has not won a title, and therefore, why would the Cavs trade for somebody
never win a title.
who can't win a title?
Well, can I say this right before we play the audio? I love this person, okay? They're a buddy, but I think some of us hate James Harden so much, we're saying things that we just know are not true. we're just making things up. Go ahead, Owen. Did you have something there?
Anthony brought up, don't like James Harden because he hasn't won a title, so he can't win a title. That's on the Acho level of don't listen to the coach because he hasn't been a head coach before. It's the same level.
It is true that guys have never won titles until they actually win the title. That is true. That is historically accurate.
Away we go.
Well, if it ends up with NBA Finals trips, I'm not going to be sad about it.
Yeah, you're going to love getting swept in the NBA Finals by OKC.
What's wrong with going to the NBA Finals?
Because you get swept.
You're not going to get swept, first off. But if you get swept in the NBA Finals, what's wrong with that?
Why are we the floor with you this year?
Hold on. Why are we so upset about going to the NBA Finals? Why is that a bad thing? If that's the outcome,
you have no chance of winning.
You have no chance of winning now anyway.
Yes, but this doesn't give you a better chance.
You have no chance right now anyway.
Yes,
so
but this doesn't give you a better chance of winning.
Turning my nose up to a 4-game sweep in the NBA Finals.
No, you're turning the nose up.
What's wrong with that?
No, but I'm turning my nose up at getting one series better. Ooh, we got to the Eastern. Thank you, James, for getting us to the Eastern Conference Finals. We won 2 more games.
Does it have to go? Okay. Can we keep going after I say this?
Yeah, maybe.
Nick will be right if they only get to the Eastern Conference Finals.
Well, he is right because, the worst NBA season of my life was that 2006 year when the Cavs made the finals and then got swept by the Spurs.
Yeah,
that
that's not
sucked.
true.
I hated it. I've tried to block it out of my memory forever. That game against Detroit sucked. LeBron sucks.
When he scored 25 in a row.
If they lose.
Yeah, no one remembers that.
See, this, I do think that some of us lack the capacity, and I've learned this here over the last few years. It's okay in the middle of a segment if you're worked into a shoot to go, yeah, you're right. We're moving on. It's okay to do that. It is perfectly fine.
But did Nick do that?
No, he didn't.
No,
he doubled down
this.
and then tripled down.
The East is open. You can attack the East here.
Yeah, but
if the NBA Finals, if you make it to the NBA Finals and you get waxed by any of the teams in the West, okay, I'm going to live with that. I'm going to have a fun time going to the Finals.
This championship window stuff is for the birds. And we just have to be honest, but we can't because we have to make believe that it's possible and that James Harden is the guy that's going to bring it all together.
It's about more than just James Harden, though, and I think that's the idea in this. It's not just about James Harden. There's more at play here than just James Harden.
All right, so that's afternoon drive yesterday. Again, we wouldn't play it if I did not like Nick, if Lima did not like Nick, we would just ignore him all the time. We like Nick, but you can't if they don't make the NBA Finals. Nick is right because you could say I didn't have to trade for a malcontent to go to the same place that I've been over the last 4 years. Nick will be right. I don't think Nick wants to be right because that means you have to root against the Cavs, but he'll be right. To say that going to the finals is not worth it, to have the chance at winning an NBA championship.
Say that the championship window is for the birds.
Yeah, that's silly.
At least you have a window.
The other thing, yes, they just went up from 8th. They had the 8th best odds to win the championship. Hold on. They went from 8th, okay, the other day. They're up to 3rd right now. Now, I know that's just Vegas,
that's
whatever.
In all of the NBA.
Yes, in all the NBA. And they
Western
went from
and Eastern.
And they went from 4th to 1st in the Eastern Conference. I would also add, as somebody who has been called a, quote, hater for various teams in town, various players in town, various coaches in town, various quarterbacks
Baker Mayfield
in town. As somebody who's been called a hater,
Colin Sexton.
The easiest thing to do, we can keep going.
The Browns.
I got plenty of guys. The city of Cleveland. The easiest thing to do in sports, especially if you're doing national radio, is to say such and such team or such and such player will not win the championship. Easiest thing to do, and you're most likely going to be right because very few players and teams win championships. So if Nick's
they don't hand them out, man.
If Nick's saying, the Cavs aren't going to win the championship, so what's the point? He's probably going to be right. Cavs are probably not going to win the NBA championship. And they're not going to be the favorites. No team in the East is going to be the favorite. And that was before the trade. That's after the trade. Guys, they could go get Giannis. Oklahoma City's still going to be the favorite. That's fact. Yeah. Does that mean you don't go do it? Should the Toronto Raptors in 2019 not have gone and done everything they could to go get Kawhi Leonard for a rental? Rental.
Let's put the shoe on the other foot. You remember what in 2015, had there not been the injuries, do you think the Cavs win that finals? A lot of people say yes. The vast majority of people say yes.
They're underdogs.
I'm not going to sit there and bet on injuries for OKC or for Houston or Denver. I'm not gonna bet on injuries for them. I know there's another team up there, but we don't take them very seriously. I'm not gonna bet on injuries, but you don't know what's gonna happen. You have to try to increase your chances as best we can. And let's throw it in there. Do we or do we not have a running gag with Mary Kay about the second Super Bowl window? We know that windows are important. If you don't like James Harden, you just think that he's a goofball and a lazy player, the way I'm getting tweets about it right now, and all these other things, just say it. That's fine. But you can't say he's not better than Darius Garland. You can't say he doesn't give us a better chance to go to the NBA Finals. He gives us a better chance to go to the NBA Finals. Now, that all said, Nick can champions pose and skip up and down the hallway and say he was right, even though he probably wouldn't be happy about the Cavs losing if they only get to the Eastern Conference Finals. But making the NBA Finals is important. And that 2006-2017, as Owen just illustrated, we say it all the time. How the hell did LeBron James drag that collection to the NBA Finals? And they got swept by San Antonio, who's one of the greatest collections of players in the modern generation. They just had, and you showed me the pictures of Eric Snow. They just had the Eastern Conference Finals celebration for the Philadelphia 76ers. Making the finals is a big-ass deal. If they make the finals and you roll the dice and we see what happens and they lose to Oklahoma City, if they lose in 5, if they get rolled in 4, it's still you did everything you could to help this franchise. Kobe Altman did everything he was supposed to do. Donovan Mitchell demanded everything he was supposed to demand. Everything he was possibly supposed to demand to bring out the best possible greatness of this basketball team. They have nothing to apologize for as long as they go to the finals. That's it. This is what this move's about. It's unpopular. Nobody really likes James Harden. We all know what it's about, and I think that over time we'll accept it. Go ahead. Sorry.
Obviously, I'm with you. And yesterday, I was asked point blank, would I do the deal? And I said, let's see who else we can get.
That's what you can get. This is the best player you can get.
My guess is, hey, we all want those amazing wings that play defense and shoot threes and can create the perfect player. You're not getting any of that for Darius Garland. No. Once we start talking about steel plates in a second shoe to compensate for yet another turf toe injury.
He's wearing basketball shoes, folks, not Red Wing boots.
So he's
not walking around on rebar.
And the Cavs know this. They've had a front row seat at his issues. And by the way, I stood up for him last year. People called him soft for for not being able to play in those games. That was ridiculous.
He wasn't soft.
That was
Stephen
ridiculous.
A. Smith was full of it. You're right.
That was ridiculous. The issue isn't that. I don't think Darius is a soft player. I think he's injury prone. They're two different things. Guys that just sit out and say, "No, I'm going to go ahead and sit this game out." That's a soft player. That's not what he was doing. He was doing everything he could to try to go out there and play and try to muster the energy to help Donovan Mitchell get past the second round, which he's never done in his career. The Cavs are banking on the fact that it's not happening with Darius. We've got to try something else. I would have loved to have Trey Murphy. I would have loved to have Michael Porter Jr. I'm guessing in both cases, those teams said, yeah, we're not doing that for the guy that has a second toe injury, and even when it's healthy, has no proof of concept in the playoffs.
I got guys sending me emails. They're actually doing Champions Pose. They're doing a victory lap here. I got Dave, who Ken finally got my way, and I will now start watching the Cavs again. Core 4 was a pipe dream. Can't believe we actually were able to get a team to take him. Had to send a pick also. I mean, I've been fighting against these people for 3 years, and they have the receipts of me fighting them. And we've been fighting about them on the air. I mean, I've been a champion of saying that this team is not better without Darius Garland on the floor. But over the last 2 years, you've had to add the but because they don't have players that they can reasonably get who are better than him. They found a situation where there's a reasonably much better player that they can get for him. The future is much shorter. He is 36 years old. But they had to do what they had to do because of all the things that you just illustrated. So I don't blame them for it. If they don't make it to the NBA Finals, I hope Nick plays this audio. And Crow, too, but I hope he does. Because that was a silly boy argument yesterday. Silly boy. Coming up next, I want to get to some of your guys' calls here. A couple of you guys have been waiting for a while. I want to know why you don't like the James Harden trade, why you think this is going to be a disaster, or maybe if you're coming around to it. And before 9:30, mark this down. There's a bit of audio I want to play for you here from Albert Breer yesterday. I think this is so damn stupid. I'm not calling him stupid, but this has been brought up several times by people I respect. I respect Albert Breer. I respect some of the things that these people have said. But it's been brought up so many times that I think it's so damn dumb that I have to address the elephant in the room. Ken Carman, Anthony Lima, take us with you to work on that free Odyssey app.
XTENDAV.
quarterback for the AFC, had 2 touchdown passes and 2 interceptions. Listen to The Fan Rewind, weeknights 11 to midnight. All the best segments from all our shows. You can always listen on the Odyssey app. Headline sports news every 20 minutes right here on 92.3 The Fan. From the University Hospital Sports Desk, I'm Jeff Thomas.
Is anybody coming around on the James Harden trade? That, and I got some audio to play where I might be getting worked into a shoot here before 9:30. If you missed a moment in the show, use the rewind feature on the free Odyssey app, powered by Integrated Restoration, your local experts in water, fire, and storm disaster restoration. You said James Harden spoke to Ramona Shelburne?
Got it right here. Yes. I know Jeff Thomas has run with some of these quotes throughout the morning with the update. We do not have audio, but Ramona Shelburne said, just spoke to a reflective James Harden who denied asking for a trade and thanked the Clippers for the opportunity to play the last 2.5 years in his hometown. Quote, in life, not even just basketball, when things don't work out, there are ways to end things in relationships without having to crack each other. Okay, maybe we just don't see a future with each other. Maybe we just outgrew each other. Whatever the case may be, I feel like the situations weren't like that. And that's why I can respect Steve and Ty Lue, because they didn't put me in a weird position as much as everybody tried to make it like that. He also said in Cleveland, I see an opportunity to win in the East. They got a very good team, coaching staff, all the above. So as much as I wanted to stay in LA and give it a go, I've never won one before. As a basketball mind, I think we have a bit of a better chance. And by the way, I saw a lot of people tweeting yesterday that, oh my God, him and Atkinson don't get along. You got him fired. He wasn't there. People have their timelines mixed up. Atkinson was fired 10 months before they brought... And actually, Atkinson never got to coach Kevin Durant, and Kyrie was injured.
If I regret anything on the air, it's that we should have been doing that for at least once an hour for the last 3 hours, because you were exasperated last night with texting me going, everybody thinks that he got Atkinson fired. He wasn't there. Kenny, he wasn't... I know, Tone. We get to Kyle and Euclid. Kyle's been more than patient. Kyle, thank you for your patience. Thank you for your call. You're next up on The Fan. Hello.
Thank you. I just want to say don't count your chickens before they hatch, because the trade hasn't officially gone through as far as he still has to pass his physical. And I just, it would be some crazy stuff if he didn't pass his physical.
Well,
I know
I'm counting my
Lakers
chickens. I've said things I can't take back now, Kyle.
Well, this happened. Okay, so what Kyle's referencing, you're not the first to reference it. I think it's important to bring up. Last year, was it
Lakers?
Mark Williams. Was
Lakers,
that? Yeah.
Dalton Connect.
Yeah, so they ended up rescinding the trade. In this case, I got to think, Kyle, because it's been very public, the situation with his toes. I imagine that this is the gamble. This is the lotto ticket. I called it a lotto ticket earlier, that the Clippers are only able to get Darius Garland in this situation because his value is only so low because of those injuries. And I'm thinking the Cavs are basically like, all right, we're throwing in the second round pick, take it or leave it. Like, that's it. Like, yeah, you're going to see his feet, his toes are messed up over the last few years. Like, that's what you're getting.
Like Isaiah Thomas.
I never really liked James Harden, but I didn't think Darius Garland would be able to last more than one round in the playoffs. And I think the last trade we had was the one I really like, because we got some more point guard depth there, just in case James Harden does have an attitude or something like that. But I do think James Harden is a bucket. They're not going to isolate him and back him down. And I want to win a championship, so it's our best chance.
So you would take James Harden?
Yes.
Okay.
Because Darius Garland, unfortunately, I love him, but this is a business, and he's damaged goods.
Kyle, thank you very much for the call. It's sad. It's sad to say, he's terrible and whatever. Dudley's hurt all the time and whatever. I mean, I feel bad, but what are you going to do? It is, and I do think that there is a little bit. I think when you're a fan, people get connected to players, and maybe too much. But when you watch a team built, I think this is what we did a little bit with Baker. Can I make a comparison real quick before we go to the next call? I know I got audio. I got to play before 9:30. It's to a much less degree, okay? Bakers fans were very, 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 very loyal. But you still had a fan base. And I know this is different because of who you were trading for. I mean, there's no, as far as I know, any allegations about James Harden. There's no big conversation. There's none about that. But you also have, when you take a guy that high in the draft and you try to cultivate him, it feels like you're watching it feels like you're watching a kid. Almost like he's yours family. And when your team says he ain't good enough and you bring in a guy who's not a popular figure in the NBA, to outsiders in the NBA, he's not popular. We've talked about James Harden on this show, and we've made fun of James Harden on this show. So it's hard for me to say, oh yeah, we're much better now, using the guy as a punchline over the last 5 years. But that's the way it is. So I understand why people are sensitive about it. I get it. I really, really, really get it. But and that's part of the reason I am not getting on a soapbox shouting down people. I know I'm a loud person, but I'm not shouting down people over it. I'm sensitive to the feelings because, yeah, this is put up or shut up. This could very well just blow up on everybody here, and you may never get a chance to do this again. But they got to do what they got to do.
In a way, I'm kind of bummed. Like, I wish, this is going to sound weird, I wish Harden would be worse at basketball. Because if he were worse at basketball,
then you could say absolutely no.
We could say, no, this doesn't make any sense at all. The problem is he's too good. He made third-team All-NBA last year, and this year with the Clippers, especially when Kawhi was out, I mean, he put up like 13, 30-point games this year. Darius has, what, one? He's so much better than Darius right now that the Cavs were looking around the rest of the league. This is the one that made sense with the contracts. This is one that could unlock even more of Evan Mobley at the rim, and I went into that earlier in the show. So check it out on the Odyssey app or check out the Twitter feeds because we put out the video of a nitty-gritty basketball breakdown. But what he did for Zubac, Capella, he was able to really turn those guys into another level with all the lobs and the pick and roll play because there's just still, at this stage, even at 36, there's few that are better in the league than James Harden.
216-474-0092. Because I could also say nefarious things about Donovan Mitchell if I wanted to and go, what do you do? Because I'm saying that this is on Donovan Mitchell, but I don't blame Donovan Mitchell for doing this. You're the number one on this team. You have a responsibility. It's basketball. There's only 5 of you out there at a time. You have a major responsibility to the franchise that you sign an extension for and a major responsibility to yourself. And I wish I could say you just want to sign your friends. This is stupid. We've done that with LeBron before. I wish I could say you just want to sign your friends. This is dumb. No, this is a better deal.
Did you know Donovan and him had a relationship? Donovan just keeps so much of his... He does not get involved in the drama. I don't think he likes hearing his name, on television as much as some of the other guys that just bring so much to the table of drama day in and day out in the NBA. Donovan has not been that. And even if you look at his exit from Utah, he wasn't involved. Like James Harden, it has been a saga 4 times over throughout his career. And that's what made him so fascinating is this guy was a 3-time scoring champ, 8-time All-NBA. Like, holy cow. He's going to go down in history. Like, as one of the greats to ever play this game, top 75 player ever in the game. Some would say top 50 when all is said and done. His failures are well chronicled, well documented. But he's also been amazing along the way. And it's hard to reconcile all of those things as we get him at age 36 when he's still playing at a top 25 level.
Okay, I said I was going to do this before 9:30. It's 9:30. I'm doing it right now. Albert Breer yesterday afternoon on Afternoon Drive with Nick and Jonathan. Scenario where it might not make sense to keep Shedeur Sanders.
My question is, what does this look like if he isn't starting? Or does this look like if Deshaun Watson's starting? Or I don't think it'll be Dylan Gabriel, but if Dylan Gabriel were starting, right? And are you better off going with a clean slate? I think really, guys, that depends on what they add to the room. Do I think if they were to find a guy in the draft they really like, that it would be the healthiest thing to have Shedeur behind him? No, I don't think that would be the right idea. But if it's a veteran quarterback, like if they were going to go out and sign Kirk Cousins as a stopgap, and you have Shedeur coming in and competing against him, and I think it'd probably be mostly fine. So I think it's hard to really judge what the right thing is right now without knowing the full depth chart. But I there are certainly scenarios out there where I don't think it would be the right thing to go forward with Shedeur on the roster.
What am I missing? I'm serious. Help me. I'm begging you. What am I missing? We got Deshaun Watson on the roster. Seriously, what have I been missing over the last 4 years? Just get rid of Shedeur. He's a distraction. Don't get rid of the other guy who's a distraction. If you want to just get rid of both, fine, let's talk. But good God, what am I missing? Excuse me, I turned my mic off by accident. What am I missing?
I mean, it's the one thing that I think is kind of inescapable around the league when people see what people say about what happened here with the Browns and Kevin Stefanski and Shedeur. I mean, do we need to spell it out? What Kevin Stefanski was called because of how he operated the quarterback room last year? What they're saying in Atlanta about Kevin Stefanski? Like, I think Albert Breer is like, is that what's going to happen with Todd Monken?
Real life.
But is it not?
It's not.
The guys are going on national television saying these things
They're
about
not
Kevin.
Current players. These are guys trying to sell a podcast. You know it, and I know it. Let's call it what it is.
But
Okay.
does the general public know that?
And is Kevin Stefanski in his life?
I'm talking to the general public. Let me say it right now.
Hold on, Ken. Has Kevin Stefanski in his life ever been called those things?
No,
Until the Shedeur fans got a hold of it.
I imagine he hasn't.
And so what is Albert Breer? What is he hearing around the league? What is he thinking is going to happen if Todd Monken doesn't give all the first team reps to Shedeur in camp? Is Todd Monken now? Is his reputation going to be challenged?
Then common sense has to prevail. If you wanted to live in some fantasy that, and I know that a lot of people have called, and the Shedeur fans who are in the YouTube chats every day, I know you guys have called Lima every name in the book. I'm telling you right now, he ain't lying. I ain't lying to you. Kevin had nothing personal against Shedeur Sanders. And in fact, I think he wanted to probably try to preserve him and Dylan Gabriel. The only thing I can hold against him is that he thought Dylan Gabriel was better. I don't think he's better. I thought it was a total waste of time to put Dylan Gabriel out there.
I did too.
On a 5-win season.
I did too.
So that I will hold him again. But you can't, we're not going to turn right around. I didn't want to engage with that conversation about Kevin. Common sense has to prevail. If Shedeur's out there and he's struggling in training camp and Todd Monken decides to pull the plug and says that Deshaun Watson or somebody else is the starter, you can't just say it about Todd Monken. Like, I have to ignore silliness at some point and go, okay, there's a section of fans I'm just never going to reach with common sense, and I have to ignore you. But my God, what is this? This isn't real life. This isn't real life.
I think you'd have to ask Kevin if he felt like it was real life, because from what I've heard, that was a shock. Kevin did not think that making football decisions as best as he saw it, as wrong as we all thought it was going to come back on him and his reputation like that. Not in a million years. He's had plenty of African American quarterbacks. Why this one? Why was this one the one where the fans reacted that way?
I don't know.
A 5th-round pick, mind you.
Know. But I'm like, they're in a different, they do not, I don't think his teammates feel that way. I really don't think the coaches feel that way. I think a lot of outsiders do.
Yeah.
I think a lot of them do. I think a lot of, I do. I think there's a lot of former athletes trying to sell podcasts on networks.
And does that work?
And I don't know. I think there's a lot of former athletes, and you've noticed this. There's a lot of former athletes who have seen some former athletes go on and have some big podcasts and have some big platforms. I don't agree with everything that Cam Newton says. Cam Newton is entertaining as hell. He took what I said about the QB wrist, or about the wristband, out of context. And I'm like, I'm still entertained by Cam Newton. I can't help it. And I think there's a lot of athletes are competitive people, and I think there's a lot of retired athletes who see guys like Cam Newton. They go, I could do that better than him. Forget that. And they're going to say things, and they don't even mean what they say, and they're going to try to get it sold. I don't believe some of these people, I think, yes, are bad actors, and I don't believe them. I don't believe what they say. I mean, good God, the stuff that Emmanuel Acho said was blatantly silly and irresponsible last week. My God. This is it. I want Shedeur to play. Goes without saying I'm on Shedor's side when it comes to all this stuff. And I can't believe, they got to get rid of the guy who was a 5th-round pick because, we got to get Todd Monken started on the right foot. I mean, listen, what are we saying? Come on. We're in a bad spot. We're going to continue to be in a bad spot. I'm not expecting anything tremendous this year. I told you, maybe the best thing for this whole thing, I can't believe I'm entertaining this conversation, is that they really do go out and suck up the room. I'll never root for him to lose. I don't care. I'm never going to do it. But maybe the best thing for him to do is to go out there and suck up the room and just go get Arch Manning, and hopefully that he can cover for everybody being silly at some point, just like Peyton Manning did, just like his uncle did. We all know there's a lot of silliness going on with the Colts underneath Peyton Manning, and he covered for all of it because he was so good. I don't know. Maybe his nephew's going to be able to do it. I'm just so sick and tired of having stupid conversations. And I'm not calling Albert stupid or anybody there. I'm tired of having these conversations about things that I just don't think are real. Todd Monken's a 60-year-old man. This is the first time he's going to be the head coach. He's supposed to hide under the desk from the people on Twitter who are sending him a bunch of nasty messages over his backup quarterback, or maybe his former backup quarterback to be the starting quarterback. Really, he's hiding?
I said it seemed like he talked up Deshaun Watson more than Shedeur yesterday.
Real.
So maybe he doesn't care.
It's not real. Exactly. This is his one chance. It's over. He's 60 years old. He has one chance to be a head coach in this league. That's it. It's over after this. If he decides to play Deshaun Watson, there's going to be a lot of people raising hell over it, but he's going to do what he can to win games. So, I'm prepared for him to not play Shedeur Sanders or to start Deshaun Watson. I don't think he's going to start Dylan Gabriel, but of one of the two guys, I'm prepared for it. He's going to do what he can to win games. Can we not see this? And by the way, let me say this before we go to break. I full-on intend to have conversations, serious conversations with serious people who are serious about them snooping around. Mac Jones and Malik Willis and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Have that conversation. I just don't want them to do a Ty Simpson silly thing. I can't get into that business. I can't go late first round again and invest my time and energy and my sanity into that again. I can't do it. I'm sorry. Yes, history plays into this. Maybe Ty Simpson's the next big thing, and I'll come to rue the day I ever said it, but history shows me that, they draft guys in the 20s and they end up sucking up the room and we end up wasting time. It's either put up or shut up. I'm either going to do it with Deshaun, Shedeur, one of the other the other guys who might be free agents or you could trade for, or I'm looking forward to 2027. And we'll talk Sellers, and we'll talk Manning, and we'll talk all those guys. I am sick and tired of having unrealistic conversations that I don't think Todd Monken would ever seriously consider. And he shouldn't. And if he did consider it as a 6-year-old head coach, and this thing's really headed to hell. You think you were crying yesterday during that press conference? You are going to get plenty to cry about if that's the truth. I'm still on a knee because I can't get up.
He can't get up.
Carman, Anthony Lima. Live on the Fan. Daisy Dip. It's so good. You're
Transform your business today. Dial 877-WebNow1 for a free digital consultation with AmericanEagle.com.
When you want the latest on the Cavs, we're the station you turn to first. 92.3 The Fan is Cleveland's home for breaking sports news. Your teams, your station.
If you're watching on YouTube Live, I was literally on the ground.
And you know what? You didn't need my help. I went over and helped. I wasn't trying to be...
my back's bothering me. It's these chairs, man.
Ken was able to get up on his own.
Tell you what, stretching helps.
You doing the aversion table still?
Yeah. Oh, gosh. The physical therapist, Sarah, I have, who we all know, by the way. I think
Is it Lima's wife?
Is it my wife?
No,
Sarah with an H?
It's a different one. She's married to a guy named Chuck. They're wonderful people. And Sarah helped me with the stretches. She's wonderful. And I stretch now, and it helps me with the back. But the back is still not the best. And I got one more football season I got to get ready for. And I try to run with them kids. I can't be hurting myself. I got to be ready to go. Can't be blown up trying to do drills. You know, I got to get in shape here. We got to get going. Got one more year left to go. Yeah, Owen knows that. A couple times, man, I was running a couple bag drills. I'm like, buddy, you got to get over here and hold this bag.
You got to get your knees up, man.
I'd get a player like, Bryson, get over here and hold this bag for a second. Got to get my win, man. 216-474-0092. I didn't feel that way, but I feel passionate about this because I just feel like I'm a man without a spot. Like we do this. I don't want to break a rail here. I think there's a lot of people who they're on the right and on the far right and on the far left, and I'm just standing there going, "What are we arguing about? What is this?" I'm in the middle, and I'm in here with the like. There are people I get the nasty emails. They cannot believe Shedeur Sanders is on this team. I mean, they do it as it's a personal insult that he is on the Cleveland Browns. And then I got people who cannot believe anybody would ever say anything critical of him. And I'm going, guys, for the love of God. He's entertaining. His father is a legend. We are a 5-win football team. I got Todd Monken taking over. I dealt with all that craziness last year with Kevin. I felt bad to a certain degree for Kevin, but you know what? He's an NFL head coach. He had to do the best he could to insulate it. Kevin's gone now. He's down in Atlanta. That's his situation, and I'm sure we'll unearth more as time goes on because then we're going to make comparison and contrast with all the other stuff. But Todd Monken's got one chance. I would be really surprised if Todd Monken just moved on from Shedeur Sanders, but I think it's going to be for football reasons. I don't think it's going to be, oh my gosh, they're talking about it on the radio every day. Come on. We got to be real here. And us arguing with people good and bad about Shedeur, that's our reality. That's not their reality. There are so many conversations that we have every day with people who care, fans who care about these things, that he's not supposed to care about. Judas Priest. It's the same thing. Like Lima and I, we got our buddy who listens. They watch us on YouTube Live in that football office every morning. They did it when they were to the west of us, and they do it. And that guy makes millions of dollars, way more than he even made before. And if he ever got a job here, turn it off. Turn it off. I'd tell him to his face, don't do this. And I'm getting trolled, quote unquote, by Watson people. Yeah, go ahead. If he ends up being the best guy.
There's still Watson people left?
Go right on ahead. Yeah, hell yeah. Hell yeah. They're there. What? You didn't think so?
I haven't seen any of them show their faces in over a year.
Because there ain't been nothing to show. He ain't been playing. But if there's a chance that he could play.
You think there's still Watson people left?
Well, these might be bots too. I don't know. Maybe they are.
Is there a crossover to were any of the Shedeur people Watson people before? Or no, are they different?
Maybe. I'm not sure. I think there were a lot of people who did not like Watson and do not like Shedeur, and I think that sometimes they get those streams crossed and I go, no,
what's going on there?
No. I'm not going to draw conclusions. You can go ahead if you want to.
How they feel about Bailey Zappi?
I'm going to do my best not to. Well, I tell you what, if you think that those two guys are a waste of time and you think Bailey Zappi is not a waste of time, I think you need to reevaluate some things.
He's got 6 good starts.
No, he doesn't. You're laughing. I ain't.
One of them's against the Browns, so I remember him torching us.
If you're a professional quarterback and you play against the Browns, it ain't that hard to have a big game against
That's very true.
The damn Browns. Pete and Parma, you're next up on the fan. Parma Heights, I beg your pardon. You paid for those heights. You're next up on the fan.
The PH. Hey, man, you guys are good. I listen to you every day.
Thank you, Pete.
So what I wanted to say is, how is anybody not happy about this hire? Anything's better than what we had. Who I feel sorry for is the people down at Atlanta that got to hear we got to play better, we got to coach better. I mean, that guy won me over.
Well, you say that now, Pete. You say that now, but you let's see where it goes. Because if you think that they're going to win 4 to 6 games like I do right now, it could turn into that real quick. Especially if Andrew Berry ain't out there answering questions. You know that.
Well, yeah, but I'd still think anything's better than what we had, and I think he's going to look. The guy is 60 years old. I think he's going to do a good job. And that's where I stand with it. I don't understand all these national people either, like you guys were talking. I mean, how is it a bad hire? I mean, I think he's putting together a pretty good staff right now as well.
You know what? I heard Breer and Connor Orr, they did a whole podcast where they rationalized the hire and thought that it was a good one for the Browns. So maybe I have to go listen to some others. I know in one of the rankings it was pretty low.
It's again, Connor Orr said it to Albert Breer in that podcast, and then Albert just said it to the guys in the afternoon about maybe it's the best thing to move on from Shedeur Sanders, because if he's made the backup, what's going to happen with the fan base? I mean, Pete and I wish I could give you more time. I got to run. I can't be afraid of that. I can't be afraid. Todd Monken should not be afraid of whatever internet reaction to make him a backup. If it happens, it happens. What are we holding on to? They won 5 games this last year. And he gets a full off season now. He gets plenty of opportunities now. What's done is done. Unless there's no way that two coaches could be hoodwinked by whatever the other quarterback has. So it may come down to, as of right now, a quarterback to be named later once the new league year starts, or Deshaun Watson and Shedeur Sanders. Okay, so be it. I'll accept that. I'll accept what happens, and I will be critical or complimentary to whatever comes of it. That's the way it's going to go. I'll be critical and complimentary of James Harden when he comes here. Is he going to play tonight?
No,
he's not going to play for us tonight. We have a game
out for personal reasons.
Yeah, going to the Arizona State game. Like that one?
That's right. Yes.
Boy, you know what's weird? Darius Garland, my buddy had texted me a few days ago. The Cavs posted a picture of Darius Garland that he was making the trip. And my buddy's like, this is good news. Like, he's making the trip, which means he's going to play in this West Coast trip. Yeah, he's going to play in the West Coast, all right. It's not going to be with the Cavs.
At least they got him there.
That was nice of them. Yeah, they provided transportation.
I feel better. You feel better?
Yeah.
Okay. Good. Show tomorrow. Podcast tomorrow after the show.
Yeah, let's do a show tomorrow.
Let's do a show tomorrow. Mary Kay's going to join us at 8:20. We're going to talk Super Bowl windows again?
Cavs championship window.
There you go. That's open. It opened a little bit more today. There you go. Big thanks to John Fan who joined us today. He was excellent. We're back tomorrow, 6 to 10. For everybody here, including the slippery wizard, Anthony Lima and Ken Carman. Have a wonderful day, friends.
You're not booing, but you clap.
Hey. Go Cavs.
Sounds good. Where's your entourage now?
Cool, I got on the last show.
Oh, boy.
This is an Odyssey Sports Minute.
Sponsored by Ethos. Learn more.